Hello, everybody. Bring this meeting to order. This is the meeting of the City of Harbor Springs Planning Commission. And it is Thursday, August 14th, 2025, 5:30 p.m. And we don't have air conditioning in the building. We've got all the windows open, so that could affect the audio. Apologize for that in advance, but we'll get through. And Jeff, you want to start with the roll call?
Bill Mulder.
Here.
Barry Lustgard.
Here.
Bob Buckner.
Here.
Jeannie Benjamin.
Here.
Vanessa Warren.
Here.
Kenny Stewart. Here. Tony Johnson.
Here.
Chip Everest. Here. Mark Bidet is absent, but we do have a quorum.
Great. And we don't have any minutes, is that correct?
No, this is a special meeting, so.
No minutes to approve. Okay. Next thing we go to is public comment and correspondence for things that are not on the agenda. And anybody have any words for us? What's on the agenda tonight, by the way, is zoning. Of course, it's all zoning, mostly focused on regulated uses and dimensions. So, Karen.
Good afternoon, Karen Onfield, West Traverse Township. To my friend Linda, I just want to make sure that there are so many times when there's something that's either over our head or that we just don't understand. We have brought a gal that we found downstate. Her name is Lene Wells, and she's going to help explain to us, so we're not constantly trying to ask one of you all if we see you at the grocery store, or calling up on Jeff Grimm or on John. And so Lene Wells is from something called Aligned Planning, and she's going to be able to just sort of walk us through some details that sometimes we miss, and we don't want to put ourselves in a bad position, Linda, and say things that aren't true or things like that. So we hope we just get better at every week. Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead. Oh, no, you go ahead. You were. No. Linda Rockwitz, 519 East 3rd Street. As my friend Karen just pointed out, we have a substantial disagreement, and it comes from a letter that Karen didn't manage to get into the Harbor Light this week. Specifically pointing out some problems in the process here. And I think, as I look at them, maybe some of you have seen them, maybe some of you haven't. Karen, was this on your website, or was this a post in your Facebook? Or where did this go up?
Yeah, just a Facebook.
Facebook post, that's right. And we have had such a good process going here. I really implore everybody to keep it positive, to keep it going. We have had meetings twice a month, sometimes for 3 hours, so that everybody could have their say. Everything could be totally transparent. And I'm afraid that the tone of this Facebook post undermines that and sabotages the good work that's been done. So I believe that last week a couple people brought petitions from their neighborhoods. That's exactly what should happen. That's exactly the way we should work together. And Tiff has handed out papers for all of us, anybody who wants the papers. And so we've got a good thing going here. Let's finish this thing. If you want to get the people who aren't here, I suggest you tell them all that we're going to put parking meters on their streets. Keep going.
Good evening, Maureen Kenny, 134 West Bay Street. At the last planning commission meeting, I asked Mr. Mulder if a sewer capacity study was done to confirm that our system can handle this proposed growth. He read a summary from our DPW, but when I emailed directly with Lucas, I learned that no study has been done. There was only a reference to a 2025 slide presentation that Mr. Mulder did about density. I have copies for everybody because I'd like to be buried in facts, as you know. So this is the slide from the presentation. 3/2025. And the whole presentation was called Planning Commission Density Learning Study. And this particular slide is titled, Can City Utilities Support This Possible Housing Growth? I'm gonna read it. It's very interesting. Electric. Yes. Additional substation is already required to prevent brownouts during the summer months. And a substation project is approved and in process. Water. Yes. Drinking water capacity is ample. Summer irrigation use already places much stress on the system. We may need to address this, but it is not a function of possible future housing growth. Sewer. Yes. Treatment capacity is ample. Most likely, housing growth is to the west, where there is no sewer service. Expansion of a sewer service could be considered if residents want it. So this is what data we have as it relates to our sewer capacity. We don't have real data. How can we claim our water and our sewer capacity is adequate? We're talking about major changes, high density, duplexes, by right approvals, smaller lots, 3 stories downtown, converting the AG district to residential. Bluff Gardens is not on city sewer. And if the mystery development goes in, it will no doubt tie into our city sewer. If more infrastructure is needed, is that yet another bond that will be passed on to us taxpayers? Petoskey just completed a 25-page capacity study that they evaluated infrastructure and planned for growth. I will give you all copies of it. They identify millions of dollars in potential upgrades that they may need to do to support their development. We have nothing comparable. Before approving sweeping zoning changes, shouldn't we first confirm that our water and sewer systems can handle them? I know we can't discuss it at this juncture of the meeting, but I would appreciate it at whatever time of the meeting that we could discuss that tonight. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
You know, Maureen, you asked 3 questions right at the end of the last meeting when it was kind of breaking up, and I don't think you got good answers on that. And I apologize for that. So we can come back to a couple of those.
Sure. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, by the way, we got a lot to do tonight. So we're going to run this the official way with 3 minutes. People, so Tony's timing. So please try to keep the comments to 3 minutes. All right, should we get into the agenda? Or anybody on Zoom?
Yes, Lene Wells has her hand up. Or did? Never mind.
Okay. Great.
Oh, it's back up.
Sorry, thank you. I lowered it and then wasn't able to get the mute. Thank you all. Just my name is Lene Wells. I was at your previous meeting and appreciate the opportunity to be with you virtually tonight. I just wanted to ask Mr. Chairman about the protocol for commenting on the packet materials and the agenda items. Are you planning to run the meeting like last week where you asked for comments during the discussion period?
Yes. We'll open it up for comments, before we get into a topic and then.
Okay, great, thank you.
And then we'll open it back for other comments. And we have a 3-minute limit.
Okay, great, thank you.
Let to introduce themselves and with their address. Okay. Why don't we go to the first slide, which is always zoning code update goals. And So I'll just go over these so that it's part of the record. First goal is to sync with the city's master plan goals and the future land use map. 2 is improve clarity for usability, for residents, staff, and professionals. Reduce bureaucratic processes and costs for residents. Provide more options for property owners. Address potentially undesirable outcomes from the current zoning code and anticipate the future needs of Harbor Springs residents. And while we're doing all that, we have 2 principles that we've agreed to. And we have a strong preference to preserve the property rights of owners and the charm of Harbor Springs. All right. Well, the key thing that we have to do tonight is to talk about regulated or permitted uses or regulated uses, I guess they're called. And Jeff, you want to scroll down to the table. And when you look at the package and the table, it looks a little bit daunting. So we have uses which are residential, we have some commercial uses, we have quasi-public uses, we have manufacturing uses. And yeah, it looks like it's a big deal and it's going to be confusing. But I think I can offer some hope. And that is, you know, we've been running under these uses in our existing zoning code for decades. They've been modified throughout the time, but really it has not been a burning need on the commercial uses front or the manufacturing uses front to make any major changes. So I'm going to suggest the planning commission tonight can just focus on mostly on the residential uses. That's what affects almost everybody's property. And there could be a few changes that we ought to make in there, but I think residential is where we ought to go. That sound good?
Do we have a worksheet for like throw in like we did before with the existing and?
I guess we'll have to just pencil it in on our package. I don't know if you brought one.
I mean, it's important that for me, it's important that we understand what we have today and what we're proposing in here. So we know what rights we're taking away from people and what rights we're giving to people. How can we do that without knowing today's uses?
Well, actually, John, do you want to explain what's in the table?
The table that is in Article 3 is the uses that came out of the current code. The one that we're operating under, not the repealed code, the current. So all I did was, I did this analysis back in December of 2022, where I mapped out by district all of the permitted and special land uses. And all I did was pull those into this table based on the new article or based on the districts that we've talked about today. So the uses are the same ones that are currently in the.
So I didn't have the ability to go from the existing code to this proposed, so I started going and doing it detail by detail. And for example, the boarding and rooming houses in which you published, it says it should be for special use for all the residential districts. Today, the only district that has the ability to use a rooming and boarding house is R1C.
And that's under the R1. We at the last meeting, there was discussion about merging the R1C and the R1B together as one district. So
But you're
that's
proposing that all districts would,
that's why it appeared on.
but you're proposing all districts would get this,
It would be a special use, yes.
but for all districts. And
Yeah.
today, the only district that has it under special use is R1C. Okay, see, that's misleading to me to see this without knowing what we have today and what you're proposing the difference is. So I'm going to require that we go through every single one of these to make sure that, because I think you made an error on this.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Press is not there.
I encourage that we go through these line by line on each one and see which ones we want to do. And I think that boarding and rooming houses is a great example. Firstly, I think that name is outdated and we should come up with a new name for it. But secondly, most of our boarding and rooming houses that we currently have aren't in R1C, they're in R2, R1A, and R1B.
Okay.
So, you know, even though that's what the old code said, it wasn't what was actually done in practice. So I think I agree with you. We should go through, especially the residential ones, which seem to be the ones that people are particularly concerned about. let's go through each one in each district and determine whether it belongs in that district and what approval process it should have.
Right. I just wish instead of bringing in the repealed codes, uses, you had also brought in the exact today, what we have today.
Well, it can't be exact because the zoning districts have changed. So we can't have,
Zoning districts have not changed.
well, yeah, R1B and
No, no, no,
R1C have been.
nope. When we did a straw man on that a couple months ago, we said we were gonna table this. And then, you know, it's talking about the uses as well as the dimensions, as well as the number of districts. It's circular. So all of a sudden we have one use, one district. And just because we've said we were gonna combine R1B and R1C, that has not been decided finally. Until we have the final discussion with uses, the dimensions, and the number of districts, then we can make a decision as to how many districts we have. How do we do it? How do we all of a sudden combine this district and add rights to somebody and take it away from other people? It's a circular decision that you can't look at one in a vacuum. That's how I feel.
Okay, that wasn't the intent to make any decisions. It was supposed to map the existing uses to the new districts, and we can map them to the old districts.
I mean, do you agree with me on the fact that the straw man on what we talked about was all to be looked at in total?
Yes, and we haven't voted on anything.
Right. That's,
So we're gonna see this.
assuming that we just combined two districts.
We're gonna
We haven't
see
done
it.
that yet.
Well,
I mean, nothing's been voted on.
nothing's been voted on.
Right.
We have a straw man. It's
Right.
penciled in.
That's all I'm saying. So let's don't make assumptions like that. Is my point.
Okay, that wasn't the intent. And so I've got Tiff's package that she's been handing out with the current uses in the current districts.
Yeah.
We can all follow. You probably.
I have mine, yeah.
Okay,
but
good.
No one else got it. Okay,
So,
thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm not following. I'm boarding of rooming houses. In Tiff's document here, it says that they're allowed in
R1C.
R1C by special land use.
Right.
They're allowed in R2, and they're allowed in RM.
That's correct. But they're not allowed in R1A or
No,
R1B.
correct. And
And
that's
that's
what,
what you're proposing. and that's
no,
what
no,
the-
nobody's proposing anything yet.
Well, this one says it's gonna be in all
No, it
residential
doesn't. It
districts.
says that the C.
No, this, in the thing you handed out,
Oh, okay, sorry.
that's what I'm talking about.
Okay. No, the intent was not to make any recommendations or proposals or
Okay.
something.
I mean, you know, the trust factor is not terribly high right now, and so we need to just be completely transparent.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, then let's get it on paper.
Let me build on that. So to address Chip's concern, I'm looking at the table in 3.2, which we all know is draft. Is it going to be a healthy process then to think of that the second column, R1A, R1B, R1E, as, you know, you're going to have to picture it as three separate columns? Does that fix your concern to make sure that we catalog this right?
Yeah, but it's more about, let's just just unilaterally saying it's okay in all the districts. And it's not that way today.
Well, that's my point. If we
Yeah.
spread it out and only put the
And then we've
S.
got the confusing part about R1C and, you know, that, I'm not sure how to do it, honestly, Kenny. Other than have it exactly like it is today, and we can have the discussion about it.
Okay, well, let's have a discussion. I think we can do it.
Yeah.
Let's try it. So, rooming house, where in our new world would we allow rooming houses? And by what approval? Oh, the key here is that a blank box means not, it's not permitted.
Right.
An S box means that it's special land use, and a P box means that it's permitted by right.
Right.
So what's the key?
Makes sense.
All right, so planning commission, do you have any thoughts on where rooming houses would go?
If I could add, I think we have potential, a new language for a new word to call that as opposed to boarding and rooming houses.
Yes.
Pretty
What do you suggest the word?
They're called co-living.
Co-living houses?
Yes.
And the idea is that would take into consideration any situation where non-related people are living together as a non-family unit. Whereas otherwise, within a dwelling unit, our zoning code requires that everybody be acting as a family unit. So it would take into situations like a rooming house, boarding house, workforce housing, anything that might fit into that kind of category.
So I'll start the ball.
All right.
Suppose that we make it, a P in RM as it currently is today.
All right.
I didn't hear what Kenny's got.
P and RM as it is today.
Okay.
The bigger decision is what about the other residential?
Where would you come down on R2?
Special use. Like it is today.
As it is today.
Okay. We got two, and then, should co-living be permitted in, any of the R1, A, B, if there's a C, and E?
Jeff, where did you say they mostly are now?
We have a couple on Traverse Street. Some of Traverse Street is in the R2 district. There's another one on the west side of Traverse Street, which is, I believe,
R1C,
is it R1C?
pretty sure.
Or are we into, okay,
R1B,
R1B?
I beg your pardon,
Sorry,
R1C.
R1C.
So they have been allowed in R1C for special land use. So Jeff, what happens if, somebody owns a house and they have two roommates?
Not
Just
permitted,
roommates, right? What's that?
not permitted.
Not permitted. You can't have two roommates.
Technically, by the zoning code, it's not permitted.
No, I don't like that.
Our definition for family unit is quite long and it does incorporate some things, but once you get into people that are living together, not because they're operating as a family, but because they're doing it for financial or job reasons, that now you've exited the family unit.
All right, that sounds like a deeper question that maybe we take a look at next year,
And that's
because
not,
it doesn't seem right.
that's not considered a rental. Right?
Hmm?
Because they're just two people paying the mortgage. right?
Pitching in.
Pitching in.
Yeah, okay. Too much for us right now. Let's
Yeah.
go back to co-living, what?
Just
Co-living.
Co-living houses.
Okay, great. So we have them today in R1C. Should we keep them there? Should we expand? What about AR?
I think we should keep them in R1C as they are today, because if you remove them, it's removing someone's right that they have today,
It is.
and I don't,
What if there's no R1C?
that brings me back to my question, why is it so important to have fewer districts? What difference does it make?
Well, let's,
I mean, that's, this, for example, is, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know the ramifications of some of these decisions we're making to remove people's rights or give them rights.
okay,
I mean, my point is, if we just combine it, and take away from everywhere, then the people in R1C who have that right today, remove that right would be taken away.
Yeah. So, well, let's run through these, let's come
Yeah.
back to districts and see if we've changed our mind on it. All right. Anybody have a preference to expand it beyond R1C?
I don't think I want to expand it.
All right, how about AR? Why not?
It's kind of the definition. Oh, I'm sorry. I was already,
Yeah, no.
Agriculture.
AR, big lots, many uses, different uses. Why not?
makes sense to me.
S or P?
Yes. I say yes.
I'm an AR. I would agree with S.
Penciling it in. All right, any other thoughts on co-living, co-rooming? Karen, what?
Can you just give the definition of co-living again?
Co-living unit is a house where everybody has their individual bedroom. But bedroom and bath, but they share the kitchen and they share living room space. That's a co-living unit. Primarily set up for workers, seasonal workers or full-time workers.
All right, you got an agreement on that one?
On AR, yes.
On AR, next, okay, so bed and breakfast. Today, they're all special land use in AR.
Halfway house, that would be licensed by the state of Michigan. And those are permitted already by state statute. A question on bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
With the advent of short-term rentals, is bed and breakfast still a viable use?
I think it's unlikely, I don't believe we have one today.
That's the question I ask.
That's a great question.
Someone may have an aspiration to have a bed and breakfast.
Why, if you have an STR, you don't have to go through all the.
Maybe you like making breakfast.
Yeah.
The drive they have today, we should let them keep it.
I don't think it hurts anything to keep it in there. Keep it all S's. Special land use. Cluster housing is today permitted in the R1s and in the R2. And do we want to expand that into AR? This is kind of a, cluster housing is kind of a mild way to bring a alternative design for some property. And it's less than a planned development, but it's, much more than just by right.
Right.
So we have liked the idea of having creative ideas brought to us so that we can assess those.
I have a definition here.
Great.
Cluster housing, a development design technique that concentrates buildings in a specific areas on a site to allow remaining land to be used for recreation, common open space, or the preservation of historically or environmentally sensitive features. So there.
Great.
Is that helpful?
Yeah. So large real estate.
Yeah.
Rather than spread out homes, normally they're put to one area to free up another area for specific need.
And most of the time, the need is green space, stormwater control, that sort of thing.
And if I'm interpreting that correctly, that would not result in any increase in density, it's just you've got.
Correct, it's
housing
just
units
where you're
concentrated.
placing them allows for courtyards,
I think that they would be appropriate.
unique stormwater features.
I would agree.
Yep, I agree with that.
All right, special land use in AR?
Yep.
Consensus?
Yes.
All right,
Wait, just back up a second. Would a planned unit development also sort of override this rule and allow that to happen?
an owner could bring a proposal under either. All right, we have a thing called the condominium development that's permitted by special land use in RM today. Any,
If I can chime in, my thought is actually that we maybe remove this. I think this is less of a use and more of a development style that we're already covering in the plan development and other sections of how property is developed as to a specific use of the property.
the city code has a bunch on
Correct.
creation of condominiums.
I think that we could just strike this as a use because we're already addressing it in several other matters.
Agreed?
That's fine.
We skip over ADUs.
No,
We
we're,
did, that was the first one.
well, oh, I'm sorry, I was looking at my notes here. Yeah, let's go to accessory dwelling units. So in today's code, they're called guest quarters. We're recommending a name change to accessory dwelling units. That's the industry standard these days. And in our current code, we have some quirks. And so here are the quirks. Guest quarters are allowed by right in R1A and R1E. But they're not allowed by right in R1B and R1C. Not only that, the folks who have them by right don't have to have their guests leave after 20 days and stay away for a month. And they can have people other than friends and family stay.
So I must not be following you, Bill. I'm looking at the existing code, guest quarters, and it's not by right, it's by special use. Oh, right.
Actually,
Well,
in A and E, it's by right.
In R1C, guest quarters are permitted through special land use approval.
Right.
And there is also a limit on the duration of stay for guests that are visiting in R1C.
Right.
In R1A and I'm sorry, that also applies to R1B. In R1A and R1E, it is not a special land use approval, it is a by right. And there is no limit on the duration of guests.
This is wrong, then. Check that. Where would I find that in the code, the written code?
If you're looking in the old code,
Yeah.
I'm taking a stab here, but I believe if you go to page 28, where we talk about accessory buildings. You get into, I think it starts on page 28 and continues on page 29. I might be wrong on the page numbers.
Yeah.
But page 28 talks about accessory buildings and the limitations on those. And then it continues
It's on 29,
into guest quarters.
So here it is. In the R1B, R1C, TR, and AR districts, guest quarters can be occupied only by friends or relatives. And such occupancy shall not exceed 21 consecutive days. And any person upon terminating occupancy of the guest quarters shall not be permitted to reoccupy the guest quarters for a period of 1 month.
I don't like that rule either, but what I'm talking about is it by right or by special use in R1A?
If you continue further down on that page, it talks about special land use requirement for R1B, R1C,
TR and AR.
and AR, but then for R1A and E, it says that it is not a special land use. It's a permitted use.
So today
So this is
AR
wrong.
is
Yeah.
permitted or special?
What does it say on page 29?
Here it is, guest quarters can be.
Actually,
I think it's special.
Okay.
Right? That's
they
what I-
might, if you look at page 29, if
I'm on page 30
AR,
of
AR might not even permit them currently.
it talks about TR and AR in the same sentence, R1B and R1C.
Yeah, so I know we're deep into the tax code here, but the table that was part of the mail out package was incorrect on that one. It should be an S, AR accessory dwelling unit.
Well, when we get to the next page, we'll see that it was listed there, but then we crossed it out and created the 80. So that is, yeah,
Okay.
but we had talked, anybody that's been on the planning commission for very long, this was probably our most frequent special land use request. Most meetings, at the end of the meeting, the common thought seemed to be, from my perspective, that why are we meeting to discuss this? This is kind of a no-brainer to let this property owner do this. And then we were meeting to just kind of rubber stamp something that was commonly approved and accepted throughout the community. One thing that typically has been a point that brought up some concerns from neighbors was the close proximity of ADUs or guest quarters to the property line. In the R1C district, accessory buildings could be as close as 5 feet to a side or a rear property line. And so we had previously talked about moving this from special land use to a permitted use. However, in doing so, increasing the setback to be similar to the principal building and its distance on the side yard, where previously it was 5, increasing it to 8 or 12, whatever the main home is, and then increasing it on the rear property line from 5 to 10. To take into consideration that concern of privacy from the neighbors. And at the time when we had discussed it, we felt that that was a good way to move forward. If we'd like to rediscuss that and make some changes and rediscuss the approval process, we can certainly do so.
Just remembering a few weeks ago, I for one am glad that we went through the process with Mr. Romaine in his case. Because it was a by right ADU, but there were certain things that had to be looked at, and as a result of that process, I think it's a better plan that everybody's happy.
I agree. The key things that changed in his proposal in his second submittal was what we've required in the potential new code.
Right.
And I think that's kind of how we arrived at some of these changes, because, you know, we average for those requests probably 2 to 3 a year, with, let's say, 75% of them actually being constructed. So it's one of our more common. It's certainly not inundating us with requests. So if we'd like to leave it as a special land use, we can certainly have those conversations here. I just know that past practice, a lot of times we felt like, why are we doing this?
These are also one of only 2 ideas that we had to anticipate the future needs of residents and the needs to, desires to create a multi-generational living arrangement. So it was ADUs and duplexes, and we don't have any other ideas. So this is one of the ones that could help in that regard and help us meet our goal. And we're in a weird position where some of our residents have this ability by right, and some don't have the ability by right. So they actually truly have less property rights than others.
And Jeff, how would this change with the new thing that you were proposing last time as far as the shed?
Well, realistically, most of the requests that we get for accessory dwelling units has been, a second floor of living above a garage. And it seems to be that added second story seems to be the point of contention, which brought us to the idea of, let's get them further away from the property line. We didn't feel that was an issue or would need to be in something to pull farther away from the property line with smaller structures like a 1-story shed. So the idea was to separate accessory buildings into larger ones that could be 2 stories versus smaller ones, and allow the smaller ones to still maintain that smaller 5-foot setback.
So because of the position we're in, if we were to take away the ability of R1A and E to have ADUs, we'd be taking away the property rights. If we think that everybody ought to have an equal chance to have an ADU, then that kind of leads us in that direction of permitting them everywhere.
That's definitely the direction I lean. I mean, it seems to me that would be a tremendous improvement in terms of property ownership rights to be able to do what you want to do with the property, particularly in the context of the fact that it would smart, I would think, to know that if you lived in R1A or R1E, you could do it, but we can't do it in R1B, or we can't do it in R1C, we can't do it in AR. I mean, that just doesn't make sense to me.
Mr. Chairman, I just suggest we take this in bites. If we look at R1A, R1E, they have by right today. And they also have some of the largest properties in the city, which to me kind of frees up some flexibility to do that if there ever is a place. So I'm in favor of keeping that a by right P for those 2 districts. If we all agree to that, then let's transition over to what about B and C.
All right, well, let's see how we feel about that. Do we keep ADUs as a by right use in R1A and E?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Great. And what are your thoughts about R1B and C?
Well, I may be a voice of one, but my thought is that with adequate setbacks, as we saw on the special land use example a couple of weeks ago, Kenny, that you referenced, it seems to be keeping in check anything that would be encroaching on neighbors. And so I don't know why we wouldn't allow that.
I would support that position.
I would support Kenny's position in that we were able to review the process. He made some changes after our review, and then everybody bought off on it. It was a community involvement.
But I do stand corrected that Jeff mentioned that the corrections that we made during that process were corrections that were adhering to some of the proposed setbacks that you want to go to. So if, here's your circular
Yeah,
logic.
it's all circular.
Yeah, if we get the spacing right, then it opens up the possibility for by rights.
Right. If I could add, the way we came up with that logic for that extra setback was based on a couple of reoccurring themes that popped up when we were doing these reviews. And it just seemed to become kind of the standard, and so that's why we said, well, let's just implement that in the code. If we still think that there's benefit to having a review at the planning commission level, because there may be other individual things, then a special land use might still be appropriate, but if it's that same thing that we would be looking at, and we just set that up as the new rule, then we could eliminate the need for that extra cost to an applicant. Because it is a bit of an added cost for them to prepare those extra documents, and the fee to come to the planning commission for that review.
And it's kind of a high bar. We have people coming in, showing us their design, and we're critiquing their architecture, and we're critiquing their windows and their siding, and we're not doing that in R1A and R1E. And is that fair? Okay. That was his point. Yeah. Okay, so in R1, B and C, do we favor by right, or do we favor special land use? All right, and why is that?
Because I'm back to, I don't think that we need to combine C and B. I think the lot size should matter. I'm not opposed to a garage apartment. I'm not opposed to the idea of allowing space where somebody like me who came from college could afford to live. But I don't think it should be opened up and just let it go. I think this should all be baby steps. I think that we should see how things go. There are people worried about short-term rentals, there are people worried about parking, there are people worried about sewer, there are a lot of concerns that maybe haven't been taken into consideration.
So we're not specially land use everything.
What did you say,
I think
Karen? What did you ask?
Maybe we should just special use everything, so.
Yeah, I'll take it back from R1A and R1E, make them go through special.
Yeah, it just seems kind of absurd to kind of have two of them that are pretty close to restrict them, so I don't know.
From
So
my
we would be taking away property rights from R1A and.
No, I kind of thought we all agreed that it would be a by right in those two districts because of their uniqueness.
Yeah.
But if you want to change that, that's fine, but it's just kind of, we were comfortable with that one. There are several hands up, Mr. Chairman, both there and there. If you want to go to that, and when you want to go.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Okay, let's go to the lightning round. So if somebody has a comment, let's go fast and we'll come back. Yeah.
Just remember that we're trying to do this for the future of generations that live in the homes, and so suddenly we have this, if you're suggesting smaller lots with accessory dwellings in the back, upstairs, so it's two families living on a small lot, and then we have parking and small lots, and then short-term rentals, long-term rentals, and so the use has a lot to do with, I think, a decision.
In our definition, ADUs could not be used for short-term rentals, but they could be used for long-term.
And the policing up.
Okay. Mark.
Very quickly,
Yeah.
it's consistent with your guidelines that you put up at the beginning of the meeting. I would like to see every box on this chart filled with a P.
Thank you. Lene?
Thank you. I just wanted to ask that clarification question about today guest quarters are by right in R1A and R1E with the nuance that they cannot be rented as a separate living unit. So I guess not knowing the definition of ADU that is proposed today and or whether you're going to keep that same nuance, it's going to be hard for us to understand the impact in those districts. Also with ADUs, we tend to see standards in the ordinance about You know, do they have separate utilities or do they use the same sewer line and water line? Do they have the same like mailing address? Can the parcel not be divided? Is there a maximum size? So there's quite a lot to
We have
think
all
through.
those.
Okay, I just haven't seen them in the packet.
Okay. Yeah, and it wasn't in this packet, it was probably back in March or so when we went through those definitions. Yeah, we thought, and we came to agreement, and we thought we nailed it pretty well. Yes, Lisa.
Yes, Lisa Knuckle, 638 West Bluff Drive. I'd like to also see permitted use of it in AR. And I would even maybe say by right, but I'll go with permitted because those lots
That is
are
by
big.
right.
I'm almost an acre,
That is
but
actually.
I will go with permitted.
Yeah, okay. All right, so I guess it comes down to, do we want our property owners to have different rights for the same use? Is that fair? Is that? Yeah,
I just want to make sure that you understand that when a property owner is required to go through special approval, it's not only the public hearing, but there's an $850 application fee. And a special approval requires a site plan submission, which requires that they have to hire an engineer or a landscape architect to do a site survey and submit site plan details. So a person in an R1B, R1C that wants to have an ADU could end up spending, a minimum is $850, but they could end up spending another $3,000 to $6,000 on site plan requirements and professional engineering drawings. Whereas the folks in the R1A and the R1E don't have to go through that expense. So there is an expense associated with this too.
Well, those are all additional expenses on top of whatever you would need to get a building permit from Hennepin County.
Yes.
Yes.
Further, there's also the delay of time.
Time.
You know, our season for building is, you know, sporadic and, you know, when you see that application, they've submitted that application 1 month ahead of time because we have to post a notice. And then they've been working on that submittal for however long it took them to put that information together. So by the time that you're seeing something, they've been working on that for realistically about 2 months at least, which has delayed their project then by potentially 2 months. So that's just another thing to keep in mind when determining if somebody is going to come in for special land use, that they will have those time expenditures and cost.
all right, hearing all that, why don't we go around just to make sure we got it and let's go person by person and say by right or special land use for ADUs in R1B and C if we have one. Vanessa.
I think it should be by right. If folks are I just think they should all be the same. Just pick one. They should all be the same. I don't think that people should have different rights.
Kenny?
R1A, R1, R1A, R1E is by right. That's where I came down and I continue to do that. R1C, R1B, I would pencil in special use now. And then after we get all the dimensions figured out and the setbacks and all those things, if we feel comfortable that someone could go on autopilot and make it, you know, suitable for smaller lots in every condition, then we should change the ES to a B.
Okay, Chip?
I agree with Kenny.
Okay. Tony?
I would go by right in all zoning districts with the understanding that we are changing the setbacks for a 2-story accessory dwelling unit. Remembering that the whole site is still going to have to meet setbacks, land lot coverage area. So once you start bringing things in and, you know, you start looking at the buildings on the site, it may just not work. But that's the function of the individual parcels. So if we meet all of those requirements with an increased setback, I'm fine with by right.
All right. Bob?
I'll amplify what Tony just said. I think that that's what setbacks requirements are for, is to make sure you don't have an ADU on top of your neighbor. And I also think it should be expanded to AR as well.
Barry,
Yeah, I'm with Bob and Tony as well.
Jeannie,
I'm with, Chip.
which
I
is
agree with having special land use for B and C.
for those two
and keeping
districts
it,
only.
yes.
Okay. And I come down as by right because we've got to make it the same for all properties. It's just not fair. And that's one of the things that came up so strongly in our open houses and our town hall meetings. We just got to be fair. So we got, in terms of preference right now, majority are saying by right. And so we'd be penciling in by right. And coming back, you know, when we review everything, make sure it all hangs together.
I can support that.
Okay. And how about AR? Would AR be treated any differently than the R ones?
But to me, if the argument that it's being made for not allowing by right in R1B and R1C is that the lot size is not big enough. That doesn't hold water for AR.
I agree with that.
Correct.
All right, everybody good with by right in AR?
Yes.
You good? Okay, Chip. All right, good. And they are also permitted in R2 today, or no, I'm sorry, they're not, but would we allow them in R2? And how?
I'll go with permitted.
I would like to be able to have a accessory dwelling unit.
All right, sounds like okay on ROS?
Bill,
Yes?
would that be two ADUs since there's two
No.
needs?
No, great question. It would be 180.
So it would have to be a shared.
There are two, there are
If for a duplex,
there are two, am I right, Jeff? Our two zones are owned by one person. You can't, unless you do a lot split.
We're getting off track of zoning and we're getting more into some other things, because realistically. I think the idea is that it's one parcel that has two dwelling units on it.
Right.
But realistically, a property owner has the right to go and record whatever deed they would like. So if for the sake of discussion, Nancy, you and I decide to condominiumize one property that's a duplex, then we can have unit 1 and unit 2.
Right.
And then the accessory dwelling unit would go with wherever we say in the contract documents. And that's kind of beyond our control. We can still say for zoning purposes, that whole site is subject to the zoning rules. But as far as ownership and how people choose to own their property, we have limited say in that, I think.
so it could be four living quarters on a duplex site.
No,
No,
1 ADU total. 1 ADU.
three then.
I feel the same way. I've got to do that. R1B and R1C. Kind of depends on what the setbacks are going to be and everything else.
Okay,
If I can have one more moment, the rules right now in R2 are kind of interesting. R2 is permitted to have an accessory dwelling unit, but it takes the place of one of the other units. So in the current existing code, you have the choice of having a duplex or having a single family home with an accessory dwelling unit. So I think it makes sense in this situation, if you're proposing to say that there can be a duplex and an accessory dwelling unit, let's do that incrementally and maybe have it be special land use to start.
for duplex or for R2,
I agree with that.
makes sense. So,
And if we see that it's working fine, then we could eventually change it to permit it in the future.
great, it is gonna be pretty rare. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay, and then, how about ROS? Seems like they should have an ADU also. Was it biggish lots? And you've got some foot traffic or vehicle traffic.
So a question on that one, Bill, would that be limited exclusively to residences?
It would be, I think, just a building. So we don't have to say what the person's using their property for other than that.
So an office or a service building could have an accessory dwelling unit as well. Is that how you interpret that?
I would support that because that district is intended to model more of a residential pattern anyway.
With special use,
You go special
I
use.
would. I mean, because there's a lot of factors happening in the ROS.
That's true. Parking lots.
Right.
Okay. I'm looking at nods, we have agreement on special land use there. Okay. Jeff and John, can you think of any other places that they might be considered?
I think that covers it.
Okay. All right, that's penciled in. Next is home occupations, I believe.
But just to confirm, condominium development is gonna get scratched.
Yes. The home occupations, special in today, special in AR. And special only in R1C. So again. Looks like. That's where they're allowed, and then special in R2. And the difference here, this is not, an architect sitting at the kitchen table. This is more of a business with people, some number of people coming and going. So we had dog grooming. And that had a limited number of customers coming and going, right?
Why would it not apply to an architect sitting at their table?
I thought the difference was really if you had people visiting. Or not just, you know,
I have a definition because I always love definitions.
good.
Home occupation. A business activity, profession, occupation, or trade activity that is conducted by one or more occupants of a dwelling as an accessory use to the residential use of the dwelling for economic gain.
So that address visitors and parking as well.
Didn't.
If you were an architect with a home office, it would fit into this category. My personal preference would be, and you can listen to it or not, I don't think that there's a need for special land use if the activity is taking place completely within inside of the building. Most of the time, we probably don't even realize that it's going on.
Of course, just somebody on a Zoom call for work.
You could leave it at that, or if there was some activity, part of the home occupation that took place outside, I would say at that point, special land use would be necessary. But you could just say limited to inside. But realistically, let's say for the sake of discussion, that somebody contacts me and says, so-and-so is operating, they're a lawyer and they work from home, and they haven't come to the planning commission for special land use approval. I would need to contact that person and tell them that they need to come in and ask you guys for permission to do that. Do you think that that's necessary? We do have some specific rules regarding what constitutes a home occupation and what a home occupation is limited to. I think it's about 6 different things. Has to be, I think right now it is currently limited to inside the building. They can't have employees not related to them. There's a limitation on types of supplies or things that they can sell in relation to their home occupation. And I think that there's quite a limitation on signage as well. And I think there's a couple other ones as well. But
Yeah, just, I could chime in. I agree with your direction because we already have requirements, conditions for lighting, for noise, for parking of vehicles. If somebody wants to add parking lot space, that has to trigger a change. Any exterior wall bump out changes would also trigger a change. So home occupation doesn't need to be here.
It's here. I mean, people are working from home.
Absolutely.
Offices are closing.
Well, it doesn't need to be here.
Yeah.
Like it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's here. So I think as long as the enterprise is contained within the unit itself, I completely agree. I think we should. I think it should be, anyone who has a home that wants to do that should be allowed to do that.
So permitted use in basically any district that allows for a residential dwelling.
Yeah.
I'm not clear on that. I mean, I generally agree with that, but if it's a high traffic area where they're coming and going a lot, and I don't think the neighbors would appreciate that. It's, or maybe having a special land use of some sort. There's gotta have some sort of definition that would keep big businesses from happening within a home. A lot of customers coming in and out, a lot of cars going in and out. I mean, how are we gonna prevent that?
So.
I mean, I'm not an attorney in his home. I don't, that's fine. I don't care about that. Or architect or whatever. It's just someone with a lot of retail customers or people going in and out. I don't know.
It doesn't even have to be retail. I mean, you can be a medical doctor. You could be a counselor. I mean, people are going to their homes.
Right.
So how should we resolve this today?
Is there a language that limits what can be used? What the use could be? I mean, that, to me, if there was language, like you said, attorneys, of course. Yeah, but if you're talking about tool and die shops, you wouldn't want that.
But a doctor's office wouldn't work typically because you have non-relatives working there as well, right?
Not necessarily.
Well, it's true, but
I mean, I don't know where we draw that line, like how many people can go.
The retail is directly connected to the service rather than having pop-up shops. I mean, how can you do it according to the service? That would give you kind of, you know.
That's what I'm
trying to say?
suggesting, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we have some language in there already. This is in our general provision section, which we previously reviewed. And so you couldn't just have like a retail store in your home, right? You can sell some products that are related to your home occupation. So let's say my home occupation is I have a one salon chair and I do hairdressing out of my home. I could sell some shampoos and other products like that or combs, but I couldn't just open up a store in my house where I'm selling ski jackets or something like that. But we do have, some outlines of what's permitted to be a home occupation. And it does, the idea was to limit the scope of how much commercial activity could happen.
Kenny, do you have that definition?
Yeah, I read it earlier, but it doesn't speak to parking or traffic. You can tie the definition down a little bit more.
Right, I'm wondering whether the permitted use would implicitly deal with parking. In other words, is it a permitted use that is obviously not going to generate a lot of parking? To me, if that's the case, then it probably should be permitted. If it's not, and it's going to generate a lot of traffic, then it will probably be special use.
Or if that parking and traffic can be on that property, if they're parking in that person's in their driveway and they're walking down their sidewalk.
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay traffic.
Bill, did you pull it up?
yes.
Yeah, I got it. This is what we already reviewed and our assumption that we're gonna run with. If a home occupation has members of the public coming to a residence for purposes of transacting business or has signage on the residence, or involves delivery or shipment of goods, or transfer, then home occupation shall meet the following standards and is permitted only where specifically allowed within a zoning district. The occupation or profession must be carried on wholly within the principal building. No person other than a resident of the property shall be employed. No exterior sign shall be visible. No more than 25% of the total floor area of the principal building shall be used for home occupation. No home occupation shall prove offensive by reason of noise, lighting, etc. And no commodity sale shall be permitted. So we got some pretty tight requirements there. So that's home occupation, and we could say, sounds to me like we could make those special land use. I think we should, if it, I guess we should make it special land use if it doesn't meet these requirements.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yes,
Yeah, and if it does, I think it's covered. All right,
Some of them are kind of subjective, but
they always are. And then, how would we show this on the chart, Dan?
You would show it as permitted.
Yeah, home occupation would be permitted, yeah,
For that definition.
per that definition.
If you're outside of the definition, then
That's
Special
special.
animals.
We'd have to add, would you find that, Bill, is that in supplemental
Yeah, I think
regulations?
it was 7 dot something,
Supplemental,
yes.
we'd have to add a statement in there that if the home occupation does not address these, then it would have to go to a special.
Right.
use.
Sounds good.
So can make a note of that on Article 7.
So where would the Ps go all across?
I would think AR, all the R1s, R2, MHP, RM, and ROS.
All right, you want to say those again, Jeff?
AR, R1s, R2, MHP,
Yeah.
RM, and ROS.
Sound good? Okay. Great. Yes,
You've had a lot of positive or ordinary uses, but I think we should, I'm not necessarily against what you just decided, but I think you should also pick some uses that people might be upset about. Like if I'm gonna have a meeting with 25 people who come to my house. And I'm say a counselor or a group counselor, whatever, that's a parking issue. If I'm gonna do hair, which is one of the things you recommended, well, are chemicals going into our sewers because of that? Or tool and die, somebody mentioned that sort of thing. If none of your definitions in 7.2 limited some of the more basic things that people might object to, like the number of people that came and went, the parking, that sort of thing. And so it feels like when you say you had it by permission originally, it could be something as simple as I could stand up there and say, I want to have a group counseling session in my house. And you guys could all ask me how many people are coming, how often, what time of day and night, and you could give me permission. It doesn't have to be a big $8,000 2-month process. It could really be, to get permission could just be simply asking. And it doesn't seem like that's such a high bar to ask. It could be something that would affect my neighbors or my neighborhood.
okay. One of our goals is to reduce bureaucratic processes and costs for residents. Okay, and I think we could do that if we felt that definition was really pretty good. If it was, we could allow it. If it doesn't, go ahead.
Should we have hours of operation? Should there be?
I think, I don't know, I think less,
Not in zoning, but for me.
I think less is better on this.
But having groups of 25 in your neighbor's house every night is not okay.
Well, I think if we go back to that section,
Yeah.
It wouldn't be.
I think if Bill opens that section back up, I think there was language in what he read. That if somebody had 25 people coming over and parking at their property and it was spilling out into the street, that would certainly become noticed, and we would certainly have the information in there to say, you need to come to the planning commission for special land use approval for this. I think we would hear about it, yeah. I'd like to get away from, you know, with the people working from home as much as they are now. I think that it's probably very prevalent in town that it's happening. And I'd hate to be in a situation where I get the call, I have to go to somebody's home to talk to them. And then they point out, well, what about these 7 other people? And now these people are coming to the planning commission and you guys are looking at me saying, why are we dealing with this? When I think 90% of them are going to be very small, very realistic things that we don't need to deal with. And the ones that are an issue, I think we have sufficient language to say we need to go to this planning commission to discuss this.
so in the definition that Bill just read, should we include, no more than one person every 2 hours entering the building.
Maybe it's gonna police the.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of great ideas of things that could be done, but it does come down to the question of. Who's going to monitor and how are you going to be able to police that?
We put in language that if there's a certain amount of complaints that it would require.
John, you say, yes, we could develop some language like that and.
I think it's already there.
It's already there.
It's already in there.
We read off the section that talked about any nuisance due to noise, parking, whatever, it wouldn't be permitted.
It sounds like we're covered and we could run with. Bring that definition. Yes, Karen.
Bill, I just read a couple stories about pop-up stores in short-term rentals. And they, would bring all their jewelry or all their clothes and things like that. So it might be something to consider as well.
We have language in the city code regarding transient merchants, and there is an application that they're required to fill out in order to do that activity.
Thank you.
And hopefully the short-term rental contract might say something too. But, all right, so it sounds like we have consensus to run with the strong definition. We have make permitted in AR, R1s, R2, MHP, RM, and RLS. All right, let's move on to mobile homes. And there's a recommendation to change the name of manufactured homes to mobile homes. That's the latest definition in the industry standard. Everybody okay with that? Sure. Yeah. Great. And what was surprising about the risks in the existing zoning codes were that mobile homes were permitted in R1.
Special use in 1B.
Yeah, they're permitted in the mobile home park, which you would expect, but they're permitted.
So we can see this,
Oh, I apologize. I'm sorry.
Jeff, can you move the circle cursor around where we're?
Actually, let me blow this up a little bit more.
So today, in our good old code, we found out that mobile homes are permitted in R1B and R1C. So that was a surprise. And
Special use, right?
Special use. Yeah, but I shouldn't say permitted.
Right.
Yeah, they were possible. So this is the chance that we have, if we think that that's not a good use, an appropriate use in those districts, to take that out of there.
Can you read the definition? You guys have that?
I have it right here.
That's what
Yeah. Yep.
Is it mobile or manufactured?
Manufactured.
Definition of mobile home, I'm reading these definitions that were in the repealed code, but they were definitions nonetheless. Means a structure that is transportable in one or more sections, built on a chassis, designed to be used as a dwelling with or without a permanent foundation, connected to the required utilities and includes the plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, electrical systems contained in the structure. Built on a chassis and designed to be used as a dwelling.
Prefab homes are not,
I just want to be careful that we're not.
right.
Excluding
Those are
those
permanent
folks.
homes that are,
Right, with foundations and basements.
right.
But I thought those were manufactured.
The definition of stuff changed.
We just changed that from mobile to manufactured. If we feel we need to go back.
Which one has the wheels?
Mobile.
Okay, so, and is it a mobile home park up top or is it?
Yes, and
Or is it a manufactured home?
today is called a manufactured home
Yeah.
park, but also recommending we change that to mobile home park. So mobile homes and mobile home park.
Why do we do that? Not built on a chassis.
Pardon me?
If those homes aren't built on a chassis, why are we calling them mobile?
They are built. on trucks. That's what we're saying. We're intending to regulate.
I think it's confusing. I picture a mobile home being the mobile home park and a manufactured home being what's Tony's neighbor, right?
Yeah, that's why we're.
Right, that's why we're
exactly what
changing
we'd
it.
be
So
proposing to
you're
change.
not making it all mobile. You are.
The mobile home.
The-
No, the mobile home park is gonna go back to mobile. because they're on the chassis, and then the rest would be manufactured.
Okay, I misunderstood, but thank you.
So, are you guys okay to use the term mobile home and mobile home park?
Yes.
I think that's much clearer.
Okay, good. And where should we allow mobile homes in, under what approvals?
In a mobile home park.
Yeah.
That's it, as far as I'm concerned.
So they should not be in the R1s or the ARs or the MHPs or,
They should be named.
oh,
No, MHP, yes,
sorry.
That would be the only.
but that's the only one.
Okay.
And by right.
By right.
By right.
In
By
the
right.
mobile home park.
By
All
right.
Beautiful. Good. And then where should mobile home parks be located in our zoning districts?
Where do you have it?
Then we just do that.
Mobile home park district. Agreed? Okay, beautiful. We got it. Okay,
How about that?
all right, here we go. Multifamily dwellings. So duplexes today, so we have duplex, triplex, quadplex, and 5 or more in today's code. And in today's code, duplexes are allowed in the R2. That's specifically what it was designed for. In the RM, in the ROS, in the B1 and B2. Not waterfront, not industrial, not CBD.
And TR. Whatever that's worth.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah.
Good. So. Where should they be going forward?
Define again what we're talking about.
Duplex.
Duplex building.
Why don't we just go right to the audience and when people are busting to talk about it everywhere. What's wrong,
Where they are.
where they are, okay. Anybody online? Right. I just have to ask, why not in the R1s and the AR?
People really don't want it.
Have to ask.
What about?
Those of us that do. So there, it's one of our 2 solutions that would help people do multi-generational living. All we got are 2 solutions. So are we willing to write one off?
So most associations won't allow you to have a duplex, so. You know, we keep getting petitions and things like that from like on Glen Drive and things like that, that are an association. They have the ability to say, we don't want duplexes. I think there's a majority that are under association that will say, we don't want duplexes. So my association won't allow it. So I think it's very limited to where duplexes are allowed, so.
How many associations are there?
We have an account.
Dozens.
We don't know total.
There's,
In the city limits?
oh,
Yes.
yeah. Any development that is condominiumized is governed by an association. How active that association is up to each of those condominiums. And we have lots of condominiums.
So, I mean, my point is, I don't think we need to worry about what the associations say. We're here and they can override us or whatever they want to do, but they can change their minds. Right, that's their deal, not ours.
Yes,
And
associations,
so,
yeah,
you know,
They can do
to
whatever they
me,
want.
this was one of the more divisive issues.
Yep.
In the repealed code that about tore this town apart. And my point is, why would we want to even think about going there? It's, you know, you say it's not gonna really matter because we have so many associations, well, then fine. It won't even matter, but point is, I don't want to put us through something as divisive as we had before.
okay.
I mean, I think it's. I just don't think we need to do that.
Okay.
Question, Jeff. Roughly how many duplexes do we have in town today?
That isn't something that we've actively really kept track of.
What's your guess?
there's quite a few. I mean, I would agree that most of them are in our current R2 districts. But there's several that are in other areas. There's a couple in and around Lake Street, there's a couple in Layton Park. You know, they're scattered throughout. They're not tremendously prevalent, but there's a significant number of them out there.
We don't know how many duplexes are in the city, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's not something that we actively have tracked.
An alternate scenario, not advocating for it, is that they could be allowed in residential districts by special land use.
Good.
That would get us off either end.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
I live on West Third Street. In
Can
the
you introduce yourself?
R1C, I'm sorry, Nan Mott, and I live at 268 West Third Street. And we are quite congested in that small area that we're in. My concern about duplexes, even under special land use, is that you might say yes, it might end up that the buyer or the developer or whoever gets a yes, but you can't control how many people are in that structure. So it'd be great if you had a little mom and a little pop here and they each have one car. But then you get a family of 4 in this one and a family of 4 in this one, could be, even if it's for rent. And then they can't park, they're parking on the street. I mean, we have where we are and we love where we are and we absolutely go with the flow with the traffic for market days and the car show and whatever, because it all comes right past our house. And we have parking, the church, everything, but we go with it. But I don't want more. And I don't believe we can control what goes in the duplex. I mean, I just don't think, I think it could get easily out of hand.
Okay.
So in my opinion, as a 24-year resident is, let's keep the ones we have, they're well done, they're monitored, and let's just don't put any more in the residential. And also was gonna ask about this, because I know in some places, if you have a duplex, the owner is required to live in one of them. And I think that makes sense also, that there will be a person there that could kind of monitor what's going on the property. So anyway.
All right. Thank you.
Linda Roberts, I would like to agree with Nan, totally. I live in an R1C neighborhood where we have, plenty of days that you can only get one car down the road right now on East Third Street. And duplexes, a couple of duplexes with 8 people and 8 cars would really upset our neighbors.
Is that because the houses there have a lot of people at your houses, all visiting and friends and family, and how do you control that?
Oh, we can't.
They're all
control that.
parking,
We just
so
don't
how's
want
that
more.
any?
Well, because it would add more.
Yeah, we don't, we can't control how many people are visiting in a house, sleeping in a house, parking in a house today, and we can't control anything. But I take all those, I definitely take all those. So, all right, planning commission, what should we do?
Well, I'm one of those individuals that lives in it. What? Yes. And
So do we.
yeah. I personally don't have an issue with duplexes. I think that they make a lot of sense. But I agree with Chip in that if ever there was a lightning bolt on the whole issue of this ordinance, this is it. And we've done a heck of a lot of work, a lot of really good work on this zoning ordinance. And I would hate for something like this issue on duplexes. And by the way, let me back up a second. If we were to allow duplexes, I don't think it would have a material impact on the complexion of the city to begin with. I really don't. But so I don't know that the fight over duplexes is worth it. I just don't know that we need to bang our head against the wall on this issue. And so as much as I'm in favor of them, I think we probably ought to keep them in where they are today.
By right, once you take that stance, then you have to do the same thing with triplexes and quads, so on and so forth. We still don't get a solution to the problem.
I don't think you get a solution to the problem either way.
We need a solution to the problem of devices, right?
Well, yes, yeah.
Okay, so we agree on that.
Yeah.
Let's figure out how we can provide for the city and still solve the divisiveness problem.
Question, again, I'm looking at my chart, the permitted use of a duplex today, if I understand this right, is in R2, RM, ROS, B1 and B2, is that correct?
And transitional TR.
And TR. And I agree with the discussion, that there's been a lot of public comment either side about this. And I suspect that most of that public comment is duplexes as they apply to R1, A, B, C, i.e. So perhaps we can separate these two, and try to get the easier ones.
Somebody did call out a proposal to essentially keep them permitted where they are.
I would agree with that.
So R2 by definition, RM, ROS, B1.
Okay, thank you. I didn't follow that.
So, this is one of our only two solutions for people that want a multi-generational living arrangement. And we've had people begging for the ability to convert or to build a new one. And we've had people saying it's the worst idea in the history of the world in residential districts. So we have opinions on either pole here. I'm a fan of duplexes, but I'll tell you, I think in this case, we could keep them where they are. And people do have the opportunity in a number of districts to have a duplex. And let's run with it for another little spell here. A future planning commission could come back and take a look at it in the future. But much as it pains me to say it, I'd say let's keep them where they are.
I'd like to ask a question and maybe reframe this in another light. We just reviewed accessory dwelling units, the approval process for those, which is essentially, in another way, a second dwelling unit on a property. And if we're allowing them through permitted or special land use in most all of the residential districts, why are we not permitting a second dwelling unit just as it's being in one building as opposed to a second building? I feel like an accessory dwelling unit is potentially more mass on a property than a duplex. And does it still make sense to not permit duplexes when we are permitting ADUs?
Maybe we approve one or the other. I mean, I don't know why you have to open the floodgates. I think what you said is come back and revisit, but to change everything, I don't understand why, because it does create a ton of uproar, and the history has always been, let's try this, let's do this, and it has worked that way. So why take it all away and just start new and go, go, go? It doesn't make sense.
I definitely understand your logic. There's a very fine line there. But duplex has a name, duplex has a reputation, and I'm ready to move on and keep the plan that we have today and move forward. Why don't we go around the table? Let's see how people feel. Vanessa, what do you think?
We can keep it the way it is.
What's that?
Keep it the way it is.
Penny?
I'm on the fence, but I can support keeping it the way it is.
Keep it the way it is.
Tony?
So back to your comment earlier, there was two ways to generate options for different uses on the property. If we've already leaning towards keeping or adding ADUs, then I would say let's not pursue duplexes at this junction.
Keep it the way it is.
Gary?
It sounds like I'm a minority, you know, we do have a $5 million duplex on Main Street that looks really nice, obviously, and I think special land use would be kind of the answer, but sounds like you guys are.
Thank you. Jeannie?
I think keep it like this.
Keep it the way it is. All right, we got a deal. All right, let's go on to triplex.
Can I, Mr. Chair, can I just add?
Yeah.
So we've talked about the divisiveness in town. Duplexes, accessory dwelling units. We've got one, we haven't got the other. Hopefully that is looked at as somewhat of a middle ground.
Yes. We can offer a new solution to some people by right, so we'll take it as a win. Yes,
Bill?
yes,
So anyway, thank you. What's nice about the ADU, to answer you, Tony, is that the ADU is something that sort of is a part of the home that's there. And when you get into the duplexes, that typically means that they are going to tear down whatever's on the lot and then build this 2-unit thing. And so what we've done tonight with Justice Strawman's suggestion is that we've saved a lot of character preserving and protecting. Thank you.
great. Lene has her hand up. Lene, would you like to come up?
Hi, thank you. Thank you very much. This is a great conversation, and I was also wanting to talk about how you made the decision, the straw man decision about the ADUs. One of the questions that, for clarification, and I guess maybe just for the minutes, the ADUs can be attached to a dwelling or detached, correct?
That's correct.
Is that right? Okay, so they could function similarly to that 2-unit, and so that does provide, you know, an incremental step towards the multi-generational housing. And then can you clarify the rental parameters around an accessory dwelling unit?
Because they cannot be rented short term.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Bill, before we leave this, Lisa Nichol,
Yeah.
could we consider duplexes as special land use and AR?
We could consider anything. Let's do a quick
No.
check, the planning commission.
I think that we cross that bridge at a later date. I don't know that we have to make that decision.
Unless I want to build one in the next year. Yeah, okay, I just want to get a feeling here of what.
You got it out.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have a penciled in solution. All right, then, today, triplexes, quadplexes, and 5 or more units are permitted in the RM district, multiple residential. Where they're permitted.
Logical.
Yeah. I do.
So do we have consensus to keep them pretty much as is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes.
Okay. Good. And then, next one is planned development. This is, the version that we have today is permitted, in R1E. Oh, I'm sorry.
Residential connected to.
I made up some notes for myself here, sorry. Residential connected to office or services permitted in ROS.
Perfect.
By definition.
Good. What it ought to be. And residential units on upper floors of buildings. That's now permitted in CBD, B1 and B2.
Okay.
Makes sense. Yep, ROS, does that make any sense?
It's happening in ROS.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
There's residential on above those businesses
Is that a good
on
thing?
Lake Street.
Yeah, do you agree that that's a good thing or not a good thing?
I think it's a neutral thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it hurts anybody.
I don't think anyone noticed.
Yeah, I guess it's happening, so I wouldn't have a problem with putting it in
I
ROS.
agree with Vanessa.
Any dissent?
No.
Okay, so single family dwellings? Is that what we're on, Jeff?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Who wants these things? All right, they're permitted almost everywhere today.
My only question on that, Bill, would be, should we allow them in the mobile home? Shouldn't we save that for mobile homes?
Right, that was another quirk that we identified in the current zoning code is that single family homes are permitted in the mobile home.
There's going to be some overlaps. A mobile home is a single family dwelling. As opposed to splitting a single mobile home into a duplex. So there's some overlaps between some of these uses.
Bill, I have a question about that, if I may. I wonder if you would consider not in a mobile. We have so little multiple residential, and you guys aren't doing anything to pick up anymore. It would be a shame to lose a multiple residential. That would be one place I would not go.
Okay, how do we feel about not allowing single family homes in mobile home? parks?
Taking away someone's right today?
Are there,
No.
are there single family homes? Are there single family homes?
No.
Taking away duplexes, residential. People's rights. All right, sounds like we have consensus to keep single family homes out of the mobile home park.
RM's recommendation.
RM.
Not
I think it said RM.
I was asking,
Yeah.
we lose RM zoning.
Oh, I thought you were asking mobile home, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
I get it, I get it.
Losing
All right.
residential, single family
Yeah.
homes.
I think that can make sense.
Unless you can plan to put it somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, we have no vacant
You don't.
RM at all.
So it's just-
Okay with taking out single family homes and. Yep, looks like we do. See any other quirks or things we had to deal? Oh, CBD, people always ask, why not have single family homes in CBD?
We do.
Why not just permit them, encourage them?
No, let's back up.
No.
If you permit single family homes in the central business district, commercial buildings will be torn down and residential homes
Yeah.
replaced.
That's where I was going.
The reason,
Rhetorical question.
the reason that we have special land use for single family homes, and it is very specific. In the existing code, if the building that you have was originally built as a single family home, you can apply for special land use to revert it back to single family use. So that's we would not be able to apply for special land use to build a new building and have it be a single family home. But just to keep that existing single family home being used as a single family.
Great. And Jeff, do you think that this is properly reflected here to show an S?
Yeah, as long as, I think it would be appropriate that we maintain that specific caveat describing when it is appropriate to do.
Okay, great, we got that now. And then we're into state licensed residential facilities. We got. Oh, sorry. I'm on the- oh, yes, hi.
Wendy Reed, East Club. We already have residential homes in the commercial district. So we're now making them illegal. I mean, there's.
No.
No.
This is a way to make them legal.
So I'm looking at that, the newspaper office that's on the market right now. It can only be sold as a commercial building. It cannot be changed back to a residential.
So that's B1.
That's
It had to have been a
B1.
Yes,
residential.
B1 is not CBD.
That's
is
in
not.
B1.
That's. Commercial property is the only thing on there.
No.
We're talking about the central business district specifically.
Yes, but on that map, C is the only thing that doesn't. That's single family. home.
I mean, on the
That's
grid,
community.
C is community.
Oh,
Is that clear?
Yes.
Right. Okay, before you go into public and quasi-public, we do have one last one in residential, and that's 2 dwelling units on the same lot.
John says we don't need that anymore.
We have one property in town that was put in place for, that's in the ROS district. It was a situation where there were already 2 homes on the lot. We could either keep that in place as is, or just remove that and have that property be an existing non-conforming.
John, what's your recommendation? Get rid of it. Remove that as a use, okay?
ROS.
Great. And can you go back, just so we're all clear on note taking, single family dwellings? Read the districts that we ended up with.
I have AR residential, the R1s, R2, RHP, ROS, CBD is an S, B1 and B2 is P.
Not RM, took that out.
We took that out.
All right, then we have these quasi-public and quasi-public. So let me name these for the folks online. Cemeteries, charitable institutions, cultural center, golf facilities, municipal beach and recreation areas, municipal building and parking, municipal cemeteries, nature preserve, planned unit developments, private clubs, private boat launch, public parks, and religious institutions and schools. Does anything jump out at people from your look at this?
Right now, the charitable institutions are allowed in the TR district. What is that? You know what that, why we have that?
I recommend taking it out.
Well, I mean, I'm just curious what it is. We can make a decision. If we should take it out. What charitable institution?
It's like that.
Yeah.
That's the final.
Oh, all right.
And that, we didn't have that assigned either.
What about cemetery and AR? Maybe I might think.
I don't think there was.
We'd have to look at whatever definition we come up with for charitable institutions.
Right.
Or we
Determine what those would or would not
I know what it
be.
is, we can access,
Yeah, I'm just, well, no. You need to know what, we don't want to be impacting somebody that we don't know.
right? Yeah, there's no definition in today's code.
My rationale for taking it out is that speaks to the structure of the business. Rather than, I agree, what's the physical thing that's happening there? I just don't think a charitable institution be like, you know, it's part of a charitable trust or something, you know, it talks about financial structure, not
Not a use.
Not a building.
On that same vein, planned unit developments, that's more of a development tool to develop the property, but doesn't really talk about the uses after it's developed. So I think that one could be removed as well.
Yeah. What about
Will they
cemetery?
violate our agreement with West Travis Township if we remove that?
We'll come back.
No.
Okay.
What name of property that is currently?
No, I don't know.
used as a plan?
1E.
No.
Is it 1E that,
Yeah, that's where it's permitted.
That's
Yeah.
1E.
Private for everybody.
that's, I mean, I want to make sure we're not doing that.
No, I don't think that that's.
Okay. That's why it's the only place it has right now. That's, we've been careful not to touch 1E very much because of that agreement.
So one thing that jumps out to me, Bill, is the private clubs, lodges, fraternal organizations. I think we need to provide for that.
You have the what, the American Legion downtown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the boat, the yacht club, yeah.
So I think we do need private clubs. I think, yeah, I guess we could keep the same nomenclature. And I think we want to put it into R1s. Because I think that's what that area on Bay Street is gonna end up in, R something, R1 something.
Where's the depot? What about Little Harbor Club?
Waterfront, right now.
That's to the waterfront. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If we're thinking about allowing this in R1, we might want to separate private clubs, lodges and fraternal
Yeah.
orders into separate lines.
Yeah.
Fraternal orders would include like the Eagles or various other things that, or the Elks Lodge. And if we're proposing that that be allowed in R1, we might want to separate private clubs from
doesn't feel right.
those groups.
Yeah, that doesn't feel right. All right, so here's the proposal. Let's separate private clubs into its own use. And it would go in the R1s.
Let's back up.
Yeah.
This is where we're getting, when we say this is a straw man, we're gonna pencil
Yeah.
that in, all that other
Yeah.
good stuff. We had a fairly detailed conversation 2 meetings ago on the TR. And it appeared to me that the consensus was TR was gonna be eliminated. All the houses on Bay Street were gonna be R1A to reflect their current use. The yacht club is a current, the build of the house that the yacht club is in would be non-conforming. And if they wanted to expand, they would have to expand into the CBD portion. So I don't know why we're thinking about putting private clubs in an R1 district.
I thought that was part of the solution. That strip would all be R1 something.
Yes,
Including the yacht club.
but no, it would be non-conforming.
But
Yeah.
don't we have to provide it as a use?
No,
Ah,
it's
okay,
non-conforming.
got it,
So it can't expand beyond its current footprint.
got it.
So that would reduce the impact to the houses in that block.
All right.
So. This is kind of where the penciling in kind of complicates things. So. If we agree with the TR elimination, then we don't need to have private clubs in residential areas.
Great, good solution.
Okay.
All right. Do we need it? Do we need it?
We probably do in B1 for the Legion.
What about the Little Harbor Club and the Boathouse, both in waterfront district?
Isn't the depot a private club?
Yeah.
The depot?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's Rolling Water.
so that's CBD.
CBD.
No, that's waterfront.
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 The
Depot
the
is?
depot,
Yeah,
Yeah.
as is a little hard.
I would propose to move the depot from the waterfront to the CBD.
That's gonna.
It's not on the water.
Well, anyway, we could allow private club use in CBD, right? I think that sounds appropriate.
Special use kind of thing, or
I'd say permitted. Or, I mean, it could be special, sure,
let's think about it. I mean, I'm asking on this one.
yeah. Yeah, many of our other business uses are special.
Yeah,
Yeah, if there's gonna be food, if there's gonna be,
right.
okay. Special,
And then in waterfront as well for the,
I would say special.
Mhm.
Do we need it anywhere else?
D1,
Oh, B1 and B2. Great,
Permitted in both,
what's that?
permitted in both, am I right?
I'm thinking special in case there is food service, you know, we do ask restaurants to give us a plan and.
Mhm.
Yeah,
maybe,
I like
In
that.
both B1 and B2?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Bill, read your whole line there. What are all the districts?
Okay, they're all S's. Starts in CBD, B1, B2. Waterfront. All right, anything else jump out at you in public and quasi-public?
2 things.
Yep.
Go back up to golf facilities. It's the 4th one down. Let's reword that to say outdoor golf facilities. Today you have those digital screens you can whack a ball against. Somebody might do that. That's,
But that's just in community, and why couldn't they do that in community?
they could do that in community. My point is that if somebody wanted to set something like that up in one of the business districts, we should allow for it. Outdoor golf facility is the thing that has all the green space that has to be specified here for community. But I don't want to restrict somebody creating that business somewhere else.
Wouldn't that be go into commercial uses rather than
Well,
public quasi public?
that would be great, but if I come here and say I have this indoor golf facility, you're gonna say, oh no, you're not in community. You can't do that.
Okay, so outdoor golf facilities would potentially stay in community.
Exactly.
Okay.
Add the word outdoor, that's
Yep,
it.
I got it.
Gotcha.
The other change, go up to the top, cemeteries allowed within the city. Do we want that? And should it be an AR?
Yes.
You said yes.
Where is, oh, the cemetery is not in the city.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Do we need cemeteries in our little 1.25 square
If
mile?
you don't, then can it go anywhere?
Yep, you
Okay,
gotta find a home for it.
You gotta find.
okay,
someplace.
well,
We could
so
apply.
here's a defensive maneuver, right? You gotta,
I mean, that was my reason.
Said it needs to be special, maybe.
Are people buried in the AR right now?
Not that I know of, but there could be.
There
I
are
think
no,
Jimmy's there.
there are no tombstones.
all right, sounds like we leave it as a defensive maneuver.
I don't.
So,
Okay, anything
so
else?
I don't understand that. So,
Yeah.
so what are you saying? Permitted or special?
Well, we can make it special if you wanted to.
And why do we need it?
Wait, or do we?
Yeah.
Can make it special and council permitted?
Because you have to have a home for certain uses, or else they can put it anywhere.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's like adult businesses
Yeah, we'll be
and
coming
things,
back to
if
adult.
we don't put it where we want it to go, then they can go anywhere.
Who's they? Anybody?
It's
Yeah.
the state,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a-
Oh,
There's
okay.
certain types of uses that, and there have been court cases, and I think the best one we can use locally is back in the day when Walmart came in. Walmart purchased the property, applied for use, and they were said, sorry, we don't permit box stores. But we didn't permit box stores anywhere in Emmett County. So they went to the Court of Appeals, and the Court of Appeals said you have to allow them somewhere. And because you haven't said where they can be, we're saying they can be wherever they want.
I understand. I'm learning something.
And there's some various other businesses and ideas that fall into that same type. of
Same thing with
category.
sexual oriented
Right.
business.
Oh, yeah.
This is-
Which we are gonna have to deal with.
Yeah, okay, so if we have to put it somewhere, I propose S. And not
AR.
T.
And why AR as opposed to community?
Fair point.
Yeah.
Would you want it in public parks?
Community property is generally property that's owned by a community agency, so. To say that the only place it's permitted is in an area where a property owner couldn't purchase property to do it. You're kind of saying it's not permitted.
Jeff, you discuss.
Okay,
And you do have the church with the.
Yes.
Bill, what about public boat ramps? They're private boat ramps, but no public.
Yeah. That's a.
why don't we say boat launch?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, just strike the private?
Sound okay, Tim?
Yeah,
All right,
And so where would you put those marks?
waterfront.
waterfront.
Currently.
All right. How about radio and television towers?
Right where they are.
Like them in manufacturing, to be called industrial?
Hey, Bill, hold on.
Yeah.
Sorry, can we talk about parks just for a minute?
Yes.
When we were doing something with one of the local parks, we found it really difficult that the parks are spread throughout all the districts, and so then they're under the rules and regs of each district. Versus, since there's 19 of them, it might be best to put them maybe in a group.
Yes, that idea is on our list, when we do the first, crack at the zoning map,
Gotcha.
before the next meeting, so you'll see that.
Thank you.
So thank you for reminding us. Okay, moving on, radio and television towers.
Does that definition also include mobile phone, cell phone towers? Today they are, I believe, on the high school building, which would not be manufactured.
Wireless now is governed by state statute.
Okay.
So
I can't hear you.
I said wireless facilities now are being governed by state statute. under the Zoning Enabling Act, and that's one of the things that the PC Planning Commission needs to take a look at. Once we get through this, is maybe the possibility, and it could be a city code, is having a wireless ordinance regarding the location of 5G network throughout the community. But this would be for radio and television videos.
Okay.
Right now, they're in one. We skip schools. Okay,
I did.
Yeah,
religious institutions. Yeah.
don't want to skip school. And Jeff and John, does this look right to you where schools could be located?
Same as what we have today.
Yeah. I can't think of anything better.
Actually, to be honest with you, public schools now, public schools are no longer have to abide by local zoning.
That's private schools still do though, right?
Private schools do.
I think there, there's that business that's up in ROS. Is that it's kind of a school thing?
The dyslexic center? Uh-uh,
No?
uh-uh.
Okay, I wasn't sure what
No.
they did inside there.
Okay, let's go over to commercial uses.
Hey, could you guys refresh the screen again?
I'm sorry, did what?
We're just switching there now.
Oh, thank you.
Bill,
Yeah,
under utilities, what about substations and sewage treatment plants? Those are essential services. Where are they covered?
no,
They're covered in the ordinance as basically a general provision that they're allowed in any zoning district.
any zoning district.
Oh, yeah, you have to have, you know, utility, water, gas, you know, fiber optic, they gotta be located throughout.
Very cool. It's water for the record.
Okay, in terms of commercial. There's a overall recommendation and, John has identified the alcohol-related businesses which are defined by the Michigan Liquor Control Commission. And I think it makes sense for us to put in those uses in our commercial. Because it will be a standardized definition. And I'll read those to you. Brandy manufacturer, brewer, brew pub, distiller, microbrewer, mixed spirit drink manufacturer, small distiller, small winemaker, and tasting room. And there are a couple things we could take out that would be replaced by those. And that's drinking establishments and distilleries into the current definition.
Really, the only, so in your list is all a bunch of distilleries and manufacturing places, except for the tasting room, right?
And there was one other, so.
My recommendation on those would maybe be permitted in M1, but special in the business districts. That way you could review each case to make sure, because if somebody wanted to do a distillery and they had zero room for the public to come in, we might not want something like that right in the central business district.
Definitely not.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so tasting room, I think we, you know, that downtown.
Would it be reasonable to, would it be reasonable to allow that by special permit in AR? If I wanted to make a cidery or whatever, obviously I would be.
Or you could play the Michigan right to farm card.
Like for
I don't know that.
Still have to get a license.
Making.
Yeah, oh, you still have to get a license, right, yeah, state license, that's not us. But, yeah. We can consider anything. What do you think, does it make sense to allow an alcohol related business in AR?
Certainly beer and wine make a lot of sense. They're agriculturally related.
And
So it's vodka, but maybe,
Well, you're right.
right, so like, I don't think we should do it.
if you use the right farm it, which I'm not an expert on, but if you're growing your apples and using it, you could probably do it under that, so you wouldn't need to get it in the zone.
There's no lead from growing apples to distilling them and making an alcoholic beverage.
If it's part of what you do.
Cider.
Yeah, hard cider.
For-
I'm not sure, Chip, that act for me is a little fuzzy,
I
but
think we gotta
it
be-
said
Some permission from the liquor,
you'd have to have a liquor
yeah.
if you,
So,
but
I
I
mean,
would put in the zone.
Okay, so we've been so hesitant about putting commercial uses in residential districts. And why? Well, that's a good question. You know, cideries are cool and awesome and it, you know, sounds like a great use, but we haven't crossed that threshold yet, and there was a lot of concern about commercial use in a residential district.
So let me just ask, let me just ask
Yeah.
what controls exist today? So if I have an apple orchard and I say, I'm gonna get in the cider business, so I start distilling cider. Can I just do that? Is there a state liquor, all that other stuff?
Yeah, so you have to get a small distillery license.
Yeah.
That's Jimmy Spencer.
So hard cider.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, hard cider,
Small
right.
distillery license.
Yeah, okay, so once it becomes alcohol, it's governed by state requirements.
Yes.
License.
Yeah.
Unless you want to be in jail.
Okay,
Yes.
that's what I wanted to know.
But he can do cider,
You can
regular
do
cider all day
Talking
long.
about hard cider.
Yeah, liquor is what I'm talking. Distilled products.
But you were just talking about cider.
I don't have a dog in the race because I'm not planning to do any of that. What I'm saying, it's like, that's the kind of thing you. Permission.
Yeah. As long as it's not.
You were talking about regular cider.
Yeah. I wasn't actually.
Okay.
I was talking about hard cider.
Hard,
Not for hard cider.
all right, so what do you think? Would we allow some of these businesses in the AR district?
He's scrolling up.
Yes?
Well,
That's an interesting thought. It opens up what could be done with, I don't know. I haven't thought about it.
What's your point that it is permitted automatically by the Right to Farm Act? I'm not familiar with that aspect.
Yeah, the way I've interpreted it, and you can check it, is, you know, someone growing something and selling one apple a year is a commercial agricultural operation. And that gives them a lot of power to have a roadside stand, to have signage, to have multiple buildings on their property to, I don't know about, you know, employees, possibly house them there. It's powerful. It is super strong. The only thing that could overpower the Right to Farm Act is a association, neighborhood association. Which, you know,
And just for the audience of the planning commission, the uses from the repealed code are behind Article 3. This is the chart that has the alcohol related businesses licensed by the state. We had the brandy manufacturer, the brewer, distiller, microbrewery, mixed spirit drink manufacturer, small distiller, small winemaker, tasting room. We had those all as permitted in the industrial district. And then we had some of them in the CBD and in B1, B2 as permitted or special uses. In the chart.
Which ones do we have in CBD?
CBD, I had brew pub, microbrewery, small distiller, small winemaker, and a tasting room. Yeah.
And there's specific definitions for each of
Each one.
those of how much can be made.
Sounds reasonable. And those were the same ones, if it was permitted or special, would be applied to the B1, B2.
So I see an advantage to going with the state standard definitions, that'll probably help us over the long run. And, oh, one of our objectives is to sync with the master plan, and there are two goals in the master plan that say we are to consider additional uses that would bring people in the downtown area. So this seems consistent with those two goals that we're supposed to be achieving. All right, sound good? Yep. Generally, as John described them. And then back to AR, should we try a couple of these things in AR?
I would exercise extreme caution in that. I'm not saying don't do it, but just, you know, that is, once you get into that activity in agricultural commercial farming, you're bringing a lot more people to your site, and it's turning into a much more heavily commercial operation. And that's where most other communities, neighbors are getting extremely agitated about that activity. So I would just keep that in mind, that that is a more contentious aspect of some of those things.
Okay.
I also wonder, what if somebody from R1E decided they wanted to open up a little farm?
Yeah.
And have a cider mill there?
Yeah.
Should we allow that as well?
Well, remember, that's governed by the right to farm act.
Yeah, I know.
We don't have to have language about it.
No, I get that, but if we're gonna allow it in AR, I think it has potentially snowballing issue.
It's nothing we can control.
No?
Right.
Okay, anyway, it sounds like we're maybe not ready to cross that bridge yet.
No, I
to
don't think so.
Bring alcohol-related uses or other business into AR.
So, I mean, I'm for doing the permitted use in the industrial area. I still think anything alcohol related ought to have an S, it's in CBD.
So those are brew pub, tasting room. Sure, I think so.
I mean, you know,
That's consistent with.
people are,
Bars and restaurants.
Yeah, that's consistent with.
I think it's an S.
It is now, so.
Yeah.
Fun.
Before we go back to the permitted use or the uses on the existing table from the old code, I'd like to just point out some food related stuff. We have several different categories of restaurants. I'm not seeing a need to maintain these different levels of restaurant use. We have full line restaurant, specialty restaurant, coffee beverage bar. There's like 3 or 4 different choices. And the difficulty that I think that provides is if somebody starts off a business as a coffee beverage bar and they get that special land use, it's very limited on the food that they can do. But inevitably they start adding more food and they transition into a full line restaurant, which would then just kind of trigger a code violation and that they'd have to come back for further review. I'd like to see, if you guys are open to it, combining all of those restaurants and just have one restaurant choice that would govern them all. We could still have whatever use proposed. That was something that we proposed in the repealed code. And I'd like to at least discuss that before we move on.
So can you kind of circle the cursor around those on the screen, yeah?
They're right there.
So it's
Food related businesses.
Yeah, it's this food related businesses. We had a couple of different choices, and I think we can break them down into just bakery, food market, and restaurant. What we can ignore the P's, whether you want to have those be special or permitted, it's up to you. But I think narrowing down some of those choices, I don't think we need all the choices that were there. And I can go back to the other section to show you.
No, I know they're confusing as heck. All right, how's that sound, everybody?
I don't think I have enough information to make a decision on that. I mean, I need to know kind of what they are, what they mean, and what the ramifications are of changing it. What we're making a decision.
And do some of those overlap.
What's that, Barry?
Do some of those overlap, like a food market that serves food, and how do you do that?
That will show us some of the ones that are here today.
Like Johan's.
Yeah.
I don't see them here. There's only two lines.
Yeah, I guess this isn't. But in the zoning code, do one of you have the old 2005 zoning code available?
Yeah, I do. It's restaurant and bakery establishment,
Restaurant and eateries.
or eatery, sorry.
You're not looking at the old code. There's restaurant, full line, restaurant specialty. Coffee beverage bar, and I believe there's another choice. In the actual old code, which is on page.
Cafes and bakeries.
You mean the old code in the old format?
Yes, in the old code in the old format.
The definitions keep in the text.
But an example is like full line restaurant versus specialty restaurant. If the restaurant size is, I think it's less than 1,300 square feet, your specialty as opposed to full line. But most of the requirements between the two are pretty much the same. I can't offhand think of any differences between them. So why do we need a different use spelled out because of the size of the building? And then coffee beverage bar is another good example. We still have pretty much most of the same requirements, but we limit them and tell them that they can't sell food not related to their beverage. So, for coffee beverage bar, they're allowed to sell like a muffin or a granola bar, but they can't sell soups, they can't sell pizza, they can't sell sandwiches, they can't sell meals. So is there a reason that we don't want a coffee beverage bar to be able to sell those other items? And inevitably, what seems to happen is a business comes in as a coffee beverage bar, and then they transition into a real restaurant. A great example was when the Stained Cup was there. Now it's Birch Tree Bakery. Well, even Birch Tree Bakery, they're selling meals. You can get a breakfast burrito, you can get all types of food. And so at whatever point, I had to tell them, we need to come back for a new special land use approval so that you can sell these extra items.
The reason it got all messed up was to try to keep fast food restaurants out of downtown, right?
No, that's covered under a whole nother section.
Okay, so that's
and-
my question. So is that why that is so many different, why would we not want to simplify it? What would be the harm?
No, I'm proposing that we should simplify.
That's what I know.
Yeah.
I'm playing devil's advocate though, if
I don't know why we wouldn't want to, if we wanted separate rules, right? If we felt that it was really important to segregate and not allow that growth. That might be a reason.
okay.
So these definitions are absurd. Nobody can understand what a coffee beverage bar is or a full line restaurant. So anyway.
Yeah, I support what Jeff is proposing. To me, what drives something that we'd want to pay attention to with code and wording is parking, which is covered separately, and whether there is whether it kicks into liquor use or not, because we may not want that in some areas. But whether they serve this menu or that menu doesn't matter to a zoning code.
I agree.
Right. What we could have, what John could do is plop these in. And we'll look at the definitions again when we do a scrub on the whole thing and make sure that we like the way they came out.
Could we go, sorry, Jeff, could you go back to the previous chart? We were talking about liquor. And I think we decided that, here's my issue. I couldn't remember the labels of those three columns that we were discussing.
CBD.
Yeah, if you can see my mouse, this is the CBD column.
All right.
And the next to
This
it,
would be the B1 column.
B1, B2.
And
then
what
this
did
would
we
be
decide
number one.
about a P or an S in B1, B2?
All that.
All
I
this.
think we decided all S's.
All S's.
Okay,
To get started, over time, we could see it.
that's fine. I guess I'm a little slow tonight. Got it. Thanks.
In all these industrial areas.
Yeah.
All right, good, great. Anybody see any other uses in this long list that trigger them?
One thing I would suggest is we have automobile and vehicle major repair. And then we have minor repair. And we have both of them are located in the B2 district and the M1 district. And I'm just wondering if we could just have vehicle repair.
Same uses.
Makes sense, I like that.
Okay, you sold it.
Bill,
Yeah,
on the subject of automobiles.
Yeah.
What Kenny just said, triggered me. What about parking garages? I think eventually we need to start talking about automobile management in town and how we might be able to reduce the impact of automobiles in town. And, you know, someone might come and want to build a parking structure and say, well, it's not, there's no place defined where it goes, so I'll put it wherever I want. Well, we do have, Mark, under the quasi-public, we have municipal buildings and parking. And we have that as a P in the CBD. And that would be a parking structure would be. Okay, so somebody comes in, well, I don't think somebody's gonna come in and put a parking structure in, but parking structures would be allowed in the CBD. In the CBD, okay, all right. So, but I think there's a bigger question here is, shouldn't we be thinking long-term about how we're gonna manage automobile usage in town? What do we need to do with the code to reduce or restrict or regulate automobile usage?
okay.
Or can we?
Here for that? Automobile usage.
Pardon me?
That's not our purview.
I'm sure it's a massive issue with a lot of tentacles to it, and it'd be interesting as heck next year to take a look at it.
Well, I served on the first DDA and we created parking. That was our job.
Cool.
And I regret that.
Okay. Well, should we talk about adult-oriented business?
We have to.
We have to.
We have to.
We have to.
Industrial.
Yeah. Okay, so this was a surprise in the current zoning. This is one that just shocked a lot of us to find out that they were specified in the CBD with special layouts. The reason they're even specified, just to recap, is it's not pleasant, but you have to permit them somewhere, or else they could be permitted everywhere. So again, this is a defensive maneuver. But a previous approach, maybe from 25 years ago, was to put them in CBD as special areas. Do you have any more info from the city attorney? Or what, does he have a preference anymore?
Not specific, I don't have a specific info, but we did talk with him and, there's some substantial language out there. There was an ordinance drafted by city council addressing this. It is in the CBD. There's some other factors that come into play, so I don't think it's quite everywhere. I don't have all the details.
Sure. So I think the best thing we can do tonight is state our preference. Let's put the P in the correct box, and then the city attorney will be looking at everything. And
Probably not a P, probably an S.
Yes.
Let's keep that as an S.
Yeah.
oh, it is an S. Thank you. All
Should
right.
it go in industrial? I think it should go in industrial.
We propose to move it from the central business district to the industrial district.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay, so if we gotta have it, that's where we'll put it. Great. Anything else jump out at you from commercial uses?
I just want to make sure we're not missing something here. I believe we have something in the city code about marijuana that would exclude it.
City opted out.
Yeah, the city opted out, the state of Michigan changed their rules. They've allowed currently local municipalities to opt in or opt out. We have currently opted out, so it's not
So it doesn't
permitted.
need to be addressed then.
I don't think we need to address it at this time.
Okay, perfect.
All right, let's switch over to our last category, which is manufacturing.
Back to commercial,
Yes,
childcare centers. It's blank all the way across.
Thanks.
What do we know about that? The state license facility?
Oh, yeah, they're state licensed.
Yes.
Unless you're under a certain number of children.
We have several of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fairview, there's one at Fairview, I think, and one at the school.
The school.
And the school can make their own choice.
Right.
So I don't think that one. Certainly one in the city.
So Nancy, where do you think they would be?
Well, there's one at Fairview, I'm pretty sure.
That's right.
it's there anymore.
Is it gone
I
now?
think
Because it
so.
was there. There was one there and there's one in this.
All right, well, I guess the point is, where would we want to allow those? And that sounds like B1 and B2 to me.
Maybe ROS.
ROS.
That's what I.
All right,
That would be good. Up by the school.
and would that be a P or an S?
Yes. That's my default, sorry.
The question is.
But
Yeah.
why an
Why an
S?
We need
We need them.
We need to provide.
Would we do community as well?
It's already in the schools, so it's already.
Right.
Yeah, but schools don't,
Could it be-
we can't tell the schools what to do.
Right.
But could it be here? Something?
Right. You say community, now we're saying it could be here.
Why don't we say community, ROS, B1 and B2? And permitted.
Can I add that maybe we designate a number of children, and then if it's under a certain number, that it could be special land use for a home occupation? If somebody wants to, you know, do some childcare out of their home. We've had that in the past in town.
Depends on in the residential.
Is that, I mean, obviously, if through home occupation, it would only be a portion of their home, you know, and we could have special land use, you know, throw it into that category of. But that would provide some other opportunities for smaller size operations.
So the kids have to stay inside all day?
Well, that's, no, I think that's why you be a special land use as opposed to by right. But we, you know, I know growing up, there's a house that's next to the high school that did it for a long time. I think there's other, you know, people that have done it in residential areas, and I think it was well received at that time. I'm not familiar with any that are currently in operation. But with the growing need, I think it's something that we'll maybe see more requests. And if that would be a potential way to allow somebody to do a small scale operation out of their home. As opposed to, obviously, if they're building a facility that's going to be specifically for childcare, that's different.
Well, the state regulates a certain number of kids, I'm pretty sure. If you're
Correct, yeah.
Beyond a certain number, you have to state
I
license.
think
And then they belong to, it's like 6,
I think it's 6,
It's pretty low.
but I'll check.
yeah, it's a pretty low.
Cause I thought it was 4.
Pretty low.
All right, so let's pick off the business districts where we would allow this, and those would be ROS,
Yes.
Yes.
B1 and B2?
Yes.
That was the proposal?
My thought on that is, on the S versus the P is that if we are looking for, I mean, we all want childcare centers, I agree with that, but it's a matter of if the operator is shady or if there's something about it that we don't like. We have the ability to stop it.
Yeah, it's a neighborhood.
Neighborhood thing.
Oh, in the neighborhood? Okay.
Yeah.
So, Chip, are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting S's in those districts rather than Ds.
That's in the
ROS,
residential?
ROS.
Oh,
B1, B2.
Are you talking about the licensed ones, or if somebody just decides they want to keep it
The
for?
licensed ones.
For license, so the bigger. one.
The ones that are licensed by the state as a child care facility.
Right,
There's certain licensing requirement that
for area and.
For area.
outside and all sorts of-
so John, where would that leave you on P versus S? Or does that change
it
it?
doesn't change it, but
All right.
you just have to remember, every time you put an S down, you're requiring somebody to spend a lot of money.
Yeah,
No,
I mean, you wouldn't want to evaluate every retailer that wants to go into B1 or B2. Make sure that
Taking
they're.
away property rights and giving them to neighbors. You know, I think if you want to allow a small, like under 6 in a residential neighborhood, yeah, you want to.
That's a different story.
But in the ROS and the B1 and the B2.
Yeah.
Why make it a S? Why not have it as permitted?
Yeah, that's where I would come out.
Aren't there different categories of childcare? With different.
There's different licensing.
Considering-
So are we saying we would have them in residential districts with special land use?
Yes.
I mean, actually, technically, I think small childcare in a house could almost be considered a home occupation. All right.
And we've already.
You already
Yeah,
dealt.
we've already
Already
done
done
that.
that.
So why don't we stick with the ROS, the B1, and the B2 for this purpose?
That community.
And community.
Oh, great. Okay. All right, last call on commercial,
Yeah, it's another blank line, vendors.
already got,
Uh,
Outdoor sales and display.
yeah,
I actually have some updated wording for outdoor display of goods. I met with the DDA and had some discussion with them a while ago. I've drafted up some language. Jim Raymer is currently looking at it to make sure that we comply with a couple of sections. But once we've had a chance to fully flesh that out, I'll bring that in. It hasn't changed much, but I have made a couple changes and I will describe those to you when I bring it back. I think it could be a pretty quick discussion though.
so should we hold off on deciding where?
Oh, where outdoor display? would
Yeah,
go?
or in what districts, or we can do that.
Can do that.
I mean, you certainly do that. Yeah.
We can do that.
CBD.
CBD.
CBD, right? And R1, R2, or B1, B2?
Yeah.
And permitted in water.
Yeah, what about waterfront?
Who would do that? Oh.
Oh,
Okay, yep. All right,
Addresses.
where else? Anywhere else? Okay,
I've got one. Two of them, healthcare services and hospitals. When I read the definition of hospital, it's rather grand. May include such related facilities as laboratories, medical testing services, training, central service, staff offices, staff dormitories, and other things. I don't know if we're equipped to zone for a hospital in our city. So I would strike that.
as, strike it as a use.
Yes, but healthcare services, that's different. I'm not sure if. Yeah, I do have the definition of that, so that's more of the clinic, outpatient stuff. And I encourage that. Today it's P in ROS. And I propose that we consider adding it to B1 and B2.
As special?
Either way. But let's get it on the table.
Oh, all right.
I'm willing to hear the debate on here.
Is S in CBD today? All right, we don't really know about this business, so maybe we start out as S's.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, it's. My record says it's P in ROS today.
Yes.
Yes.
So you're recommending S's,
Yeah, let's change that to an S.
change that to an S.
Change the ROS to an S.
Oh, no, there may be a business there today.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
So P,
forget I said that.
yeah, so P for ROS, and you're proposing adding S
S,
for
S,
B1 and B2. Anything else or just those two?
no.
But can we can't just get rid of hospitals,
That was my question.
can we? We have to put them somewhere or else they can go anywhere.
Is that another state thing like
Yes.
cemetery?
That's something we just put in industrial.
So we could put it in industrial. I mean, I don't think that we have planned that people would
I agree. with
decide to go
Jerry.
into that business, but we
Okay.
gotta put them somewhere.
People feel more comfortable if hospitals are in industrial.
Yeah,
It'd be a nice visit.
that's where people get hurt.
What are we doing?
Hospitals are going
They're
in.
putting hospital back in, but in M1.
Is it true that we have to provide?
Not hospital?
Oh. All right. Yeah. We have to provide adult entertainment centers, but not.
Because there's a lot of case law. Well, yeah, I mean, think about a hospital, think of the size campus that McLaren is.
Yes.
Where are you gonna fit it here in town?
I agree.
Your industrial district isn't that big at all.
All right, here, let's try to take it out and see if it works.
That's very good.
All right.
I mean, I kind of agree with Kenny, healthcare services, yeah. If you need, hospitals, no.
Okay.
So I have one more, Bill. Under medical lab, any reason why we wouldn't allow that in ROS?
Well, actually, it'd be a good use for now.
Yeah, I think so too.
Recommending a P.
I am recommending a P. As strange as that sounds.
Sounds good to me. All right.
That's sometimes.
No pun intended.
No.
Okay. Moving on to manufacturing, it sounds like. So this is where we take out distilleries because we're putting in the new distillery definition.
We have a blank on central cleaning facilities.
Yeah, they were in the M1. You don't have to put it back in if you don't want.
I don't even know.
Central cleaning facility would be an establishment which launders and dry cleans on a large scale, like restaurant tables, things would go there, mass.
Right.
And they're based on the size of your industrial area, based on the toxicity of these and the proximity to residential, I don't think you want it.
Yeah.
I think you're selling me on not wanting.
Oh, that's great news.
Probably
We got rid
was
of that.
there.
This is just not a basic laundromat we're talking about.
Okay. Good, that's good news. We can get rid of that, right?
Good. So Carly, do we have anything for veterinary service? to think about?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Yeah, we've been here.
Veterinary service.
Veterinary service, I don't see it in the existing.
It's right at the top of manufacturing.
That's in the one you said, but what about in the existing? What do we have today?
We. It's just, I literally was just talking to somebody about veterinary stuff
Yeah.
the other day, and I don't have it in front of me.
I don't see it in the existing code, is my.
It's in the existing code now, I just can't remember what district it's in. I think it's permitted
I
in,
stand corrected. It's permitted in,
is it
ROS,
MOA or ROS?
That's right.
So you have the same, forgive me.
I think ROS and M1 are both places that it would probably
Yeah,
work fine.
that's
Up,
fine with that.
uptown business, I could, you don't think B2 would be appropriate?
Depends if they have a kennel. So that-
But kennel's separate, right? We already passed the kennel.
B2 might be good for it, like up at Fairview or something.
We have kennels as a special use in the M1.
I think you could keep the uses separate and make sure that in our definitions for veterinary, we say that the activity would have to be indoors and that any outdoor use would then be covered by kennel.
How do you feel about it in the B2?
Without a kennel, it's not, I don't think it's an issue.
Without a kennel, it'd be like a doctor's.
Except they
Yeah,
can't do
they have to
it.
put the dogs out.
Yeah.
They have to put them outside. Like at the vets,
If,
they have to put the dogs outside, at the vets.
oh, after that,
Yeah,
when I take my dog over there.
yeah, if he's there for the day, I'm sorry.
Well, for the
If
day.
he's there for the day or some sort of
right.
service, they put them out in the kennel. And that's the part.
Okay.
What if we said no kennels in town?
Then I don't think you can be a veterinary hospital.
Maybe gerbils.
You can't keep inside.
Can't give that.
All right. Here's a proposal. We take out veterinary services. If somebody wants to start one, they'll come and we'll hear it. And we'll talk about it.
Or keep it in M1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The land of this.
The land, I don't, so you know, the big black zone.
Yeah, it's the cat dog.
We'll have to see if that makes sense later.
And here's a nasty one, painting, varnishing and vulcanizing. Do we need that? Jonathan? Painting,
You may have some of that going on now, but some of
Yeah.
them.
They're doing it at Walford right now.
vulcanizing. All right. All right, okay,
Painting and varnishing. All the above.
all right.
I have one.
Yeah, go, Ken.
I see distilleries on this chart, but we covered that earlier, so that could be struck. from
We already
here.
got that strong.
And then go to the second line, central cleaning facilities. Today we have none. Okay with that, but let me just serve up a discussion. Would we allow a central cleaning facility, in other words, a laundromat or a dry cleaner in B2?
I think he differentiated central cleaning facility, like passive, like
think we
clinics.
X that,
like-
Versus.
So let's look at commercial.
Let's
see if
look
we
at
do
the
have one.
definition. I bet you have it.
We don't.
As a matter of fact, I do.
We have commercial laundry or dry cleaner allowed in the B2 district.
Okay. So do we need central cleaning?
No, we're taking it out.
No, we got rid of it, sorry.
Good.
So where would a laundromat go?
In the B2 district.
And what's it called again? Sorry.
It's called, under the current code, it's called commercial laundry or dry cleaner.
Oh, pretty good.
Okay,
Does that happen to be allowed in the marina, getting a laundromat?
That's a public use in the public building.
good question. Yeah.
That's a laundry, it's not a dry,
That's kind of.
Yeah.
that's a wash machine.
Also, I'd say that's not the primary use
Use
of
of
the
the
building,
building.
that's an accessory use, that's part of the primary use of. So,
But it's not public
But it's
though.
not public.
I can't go there and do it, right?
Yeah, right, correct.
It's attached to the marina. Isn't the laundry in the harbor master building?
Yep, but it's not.
Yes.
Not yet.
But it's not open to the public.
It's not, it's a municipal use.
I have one final one, last line, retail wholesale activities. That sounds like an umbrella for everything else we've talked.
It's in there, I'd get rid of it, Kenny.
Good.
Agree.
Fine.
Especially it's in conflict with the line right above it anyway.
Yeah.
All right. You have a deal?
Yes.
All right, so we'll need John and Jeff and I will scrub this thing. And we're gonna, the next meeting, we'll get a look for the first time at the complete draft code. All the articles that we worked on all winter and spring will come back to us. And then we'll have updated usage table. And next week, we think we're gonna have our first look at draft zoning maps, so that we can scrub that and adjust that as.
Will we get it before the meeting so we have time to look at it?
I'll-
I mean, I know it's a week away,
We'll
so
try, this has got kind of going at warp speed. to be
I
honest
know,
with you.
I know.
So, I mean, yeah, we'll try. But the one thing that we have to kind of come to conclusion on is, it's hard for me to write a code when everybody thinks that we have straw men and we have pencil going on.
Yeah.
It's, we have to make some decisions. You know, TR, that's gone. You know, the thing with the B1 and or the R1A or the R1B and the R1C, you know, we're still divided. I think it's ridiculous myself because the lot sizes in both districts vary all over the places. So, I mean, you come to a conclusion on a minimum lot size and it should be good for everybody. And I know that there's people that are firmly believe that we have to have an R1B and an R1C, but I need to know that because I can't create a zoning map and I can't create a code under the theory that we have straw decisions out there. It's just not gonna work.
Well, we've just now
Draw
gone
decisions
through,
because we have the uses of different districts to all talk about.
Well, now we got them, so we.
It's up to you, right?
We should have.
Can't you put a maybe on the map? Can't you put a maybe?
we just went through all of the uses. And it didn't look like we came up with any different uses between R1, B, and C, where something would be permitted in one and not in the other. So the only difference that we would in theory have between R1, B, and C is minimum lot size. And I think we've clearly,
Did we talk about that? We did talk about boarding houses, right? Did we decide, I guess, did we decide that they're gonna be available in all districts or just?
Well, no, we got rid of boarding houses and we called it co-living.
Okay, but the co-living is gonna be available in all districts, is that what we're saying?
No, we,
so I think it was
just R1C.
previously permitted in, wasn't it also permitted in R1B?
No, or the only.
So that would be the only thing, is if you see the need for a difference but realistically, R1, B, and C are kind of scattered throughout town anyway, minimum lot sizes, we have that other document that's in there talking about just the dramatic variation in the sizes and how they're so similar anyway. I really don't see a need to continue separating those two areas in town. Unless you guys feel that we need to, but I think
I have a
before we can
suggestion.
do the next move here, we need to settle
we have
that.
some decisions.
I have a suggestion, Mr. Chairman, is that right now, because this is still someone on the table, is as direction to John and Jeff, show them as separate. And when we see it all laid out, we see that there's two columns identical, then the decision will be very easy for everyone. Is that something that you can execute?
We could, we're gonna see the columns laid out, there's gonna be one difference, probably rooming houses. We're gonna say, okay, that's good. That leads us towards no need to have separate, and then we're gonna talk about dimensions. We're talking about minimum lot width, we're talking about minimum lot area.
And today they have some slight differences, right?
They do.
I say we just talk about it right now, and let's give John some firm
Make
direction.
a decision.
Yeah.
Agree. All of the uses in the R1B and R1C are exactly the same. As Jeff mentioned, it's the,
Except room.
except for rooming houses.
Right, so,
But
but
we
we don't
can
leave,
handle that in the code differently outside of the district.
But the minimum lot size is different between the two as well.
Where the minimum lot sizes are, but the lot area dimensions are not. They're scattered all over.
Yeah, as a practical matter, they're exactly the same. I drove down Pine Street today with my wife and I said, one of these is in one district and one of these is in another district. Can you tell me which one is which? She had no idea. They're so similar, I can't even believe we're talking about. But anyway, I'm a strong believer that R1B and R1C should be consolidated. That's one man's opinion.
This town was developed before zoning.
definitely.
And then, I go back and I look at the Sanborn fire insurance maps, which were drawn in 1905 for the majority of the city that have the lots, and the lots were all different depending on who built what house. It was the size of the house that the person built that actually created the lot. So they're all over the place. I run a frequency analysis on Excel and the lots come out all over. So there's no rhyme or reason to it. I mean, you have your R1A, your R1B, your R1C, those are all suburban zoning classifications that you're using on a community that was developed in 1905 and 1915, and they don't make sense. And you have less than 1.5 miles square miles, and you got 17 zoning districts. It's If you can get rid of
The
two or
code
three,
is not to create nonconformities.
No.
Just when we instituted the code, we got millions of them.
so my recommendation is we consolidate the R1B and R1C into one residential classification. And then we will, on the co-living units, we will put a section in the supplemental regulations that specifically says where they can go. And what type of lot size they have to be.
Yeah, where will those be? In the former R1C district, or how would you?
I think you would put it as a special use, Chip, but in the supplemental regulations, you would have some triggers in there that would say what the size of the lot had to be. Because if you are gonna have co-living and you're gonna have 3 or 4 people that are non-related living in a house, you gotta have a bigger lot in order to accommodate the parking. So we need to take a look at what that lot dimension would be. But we could have specific regulations in the code for that. So if somebody wants to do a co-living in an R1, they'd have to go look at the supplemental and then decide if they meet the lot requirements. And then we can talk about the lot requirements.
So should that apply to both the former R1C and R1B lots then? I mean, you let the lot size dictate whether or not.
The lot size would dictate if it could be co-living.
Right. So it would just default to the bigger lots.
Correct.
I think that's a great solution.
Yeah.
The problem is that when, a lot of people may not want seasonal employees to be living in their neighborhood.
That would be a special land use.
Okay, but it would be, and if they own the land and you're, all of a sudden you're allowing this to happen in their neighborhood, they may not like that, right? So it'd be special land use, what you're saying.
Yes, it'd be an S. With certain conditions that would be in the supplemental regulations.
Yeah, the applicant would have to come in and describe how that heightened intensity of use is not going to negatively impact their neighbors. And if they're not sufficient in convincing the planning commission that they can do so without negatively impacting the neighbors, the planning commission could look at the standards that we put in place and say, yes, you can do this, no, you can't do this, or yes, you can do it with these conditions to mitigate that negative impact. You have those options at the planning
I'm
commission.
actually kind of surprised that some of your larger businesses here in town haven't advocated for co-living for their seasonal workers in terms of.
They haven't in the R1C district specifically, because that's what it's allowed.
Oh, we'll take a look at which ones are allowed in the R1C, take a look at the size of the lots they're in. And use those to form the basis of our regulations. And I can do that with Jeff. And come back and with a draft so you guys can take a look at it and decide if you have any other standards you want to apply to it. But I think we can craft it that way.
Aaron has a question.
Yeah,
Hi.
Karen.
Colonel. So the idea of the straw man and the pencil van, John, was something that we started back at the very, very beginning. And I thought that it was something that we had, eventually we had 3 columns for on a worksheet. And then with the public hearings that Bill would like to do in the month of September, the public comes in, they sort of look at the discussions that you all have had, and specific reasons can be given. But the fact that you're arguing about something that was done in 2000 and 100 years ago, I don't think really matters to us. What it is that the town is the way it is now. And when you have your chart of the nonconformities aren't that huge. There's if there's 10 lists of nonconformities, maybe 2 or 3 of them are sort of large, not that big. So the nonconformity, I don't think should be used for a reason where we all have to be the same. Now, in the packet from today, the big change for me, the R1A district, I think was missing. I don't think I saw it at all. I don't think it was, R1A was here, R1B was here, but R1C isn't. But the big change in R1B is that you went from 8,000 square feet for a maximum lot size down to 68, 64. That's really a big change. So again, why are you making it smaller? Is there a reason? And then I thought that when we got into the uses qualify, because you're absolutely right about the parking and this co-living and things like that, but I just think that if the duplexes were a trigger and everything like that, and changing people's rights to the lot that they bought in R1B or R1C or R1A. And so that's sort of the way that they would like to keep it.
Karen, you know, I will respectfully disagree. I think when people buy a house, they don't even look at what zoning district they're in. They buy a house based on if it meets their family needs and if they think it's something that they like. I've never seen a person go to a realtor saying, I only want to look at houses in an R1B district.
No, but they do go to a realtor and say, I'd like to live in this area.
Yeah, they like to live in the neighborhood, but they may not even know what the zoning is on in the community, in the area that they're living in.
Yeah.
making Karen's point.
No,
You're actually making Karen.
Not,
Well,
Karen says that people buy based on their zoning district, and I'm saying, no, they don't buy
They
based on.
buy
their
on
zoning.
what's existing there as the neighborhood. So you're fundamentally asking.
No, I am not. I was just
Patrick,
respectfully.
let's take off on that because it is a huge misunderstanding. So
I agree.
there have been some social media posts that I can't make sense of. Here's one from Ashley O'Reilly that says, with the proposed zoning changes on the table, I have to ask, are we slowly erasing that magic of having variety? Are we trading character for conformity? Some key points. Should bluff lots shrink to a minimum width of 60 feet? Does that mean more density and less green space over time? So there's a flaw in the logic right there. Nobody's lots are going to shrink based on this. So at the time, the minimum lot width, minimum lot area come into play is only when creating a new lot. So in Ashley's neighborhood, that square there, if a 60-foot lot width were implemented, and if, I mean, there's just, we're not going to take away 6 or 5 feet of somebody's property. They don't have to slice off 5 feet, sell it, give it to someone else. If they don't do anything, it just doesn't change. And the math is just so crazy. You would have to, if you're concerned about someone creating an extra lot, well, are you?
I'm concerned about changing the nature of what we're talking about here. So in your example, if you limit the scope to just those people that have a lot that may be 5 feet bigger than what it is, and you're lopping off 5, then it's not gonna make a difference.
Okay.
Yeah, we agree with that.
Okay.
But that's not where the angst comes. It's now where you're talking about those lot sizes that could be made into.
Okay, let's talk about that, Patrick. How many lots, how many 80-foot lots would you need to create an extra lot? You think?
Well, again, it's not about just the changing of that lot, it's changing the nature of that neighborhood.
See, but the point is, nobody's lots are gonna change because they would only change if someone changed their lot lines. And in order, so I'll answer the question. You need 3 80-foot lots in a row in order to create one new lot. 3 vacant 80-foot lots with, or with buildings which could be torn down. And in our existing R1B and C areas, there are not 3 lots together of any size.
Then why
They're
change anything at all?
So
Yeah.
scattered.
Why change?
Let me talk about that. And we talked about the nature of the community, why change anything in the community.
Right.
The matter of fact is, regardless of what zoning says, those neighborhoods are already like that now.
Exactly.
We're just trying to modify the zoning code to what's already, what existing current practices are. for existing properties in those areas. We're not proposing to say all of a sudden everybody's gonna be smaller, but there's a significant portion of properties in R1B that already have R1C characteristics. And we're just trying to say, if we already have this many properties already behaving this way, why not just say these are the rules for that area as well?
I completely agree with that. I think that the proposal to collapse R1B and R1C together actually more accurately reflects what's there on the ground today.
So,
And when you, just a second, please. When you talk about going from 8,000 square feet to 6,864 square feet, those are just numbers in the zoning ordinance. What's on the ground, every B1 property does not have 8,000 square feet, and every B1 single family dwelling does not have 80 feet of frontage. As a matter of fact, I'd be willing to wager that 40% of them don't. I would be willing to wager that 40% of them would probably be better defined as RC, other than the fact that they happen to be coincident with others, properties that are zoned R1B.
No. Yeah. Thank you, Mark Rondell. I think we've gotten ourselves into the weeds instantly again. By starting to work on specifics, what I think you were leading to is the communities evolve over time, they change. The Harbor Springs that exist today is not anything like the Harbor Springs that I bought into 50 years ago. Or that you folks bought into 25 years ago or whenever. And there is no reason that the Harbor Springs of 25 years from now has to be the same as it is today. There are many, many reasons why the city of Harbor Springs needs to change to become a viable, good place to live 25 years from now.
And luckily,
And this is the crux of the Chip, the conflict.
luckily,
But
the
we're trying
proposed
to resolve.
dimensions on these lots
We
don't
need to-
change anything.
Okay, I just want to add, so.
Yeah.
In your example, if you accumulated, let's say, you're talking about lots that are vacant, were you not?
Yeah. Or with buildings that were so bad that they could be demolished.
Understood, or buildings that are not so bad, but could be demolished in order to accumulate enough size to then put, to change the lots to accommodate more housing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now,
well,
remember the conditions, 3 80-foot lots, we don't even have many of those. They would have to be next to each other in a line.
right, there's no
And
problem with
yes,
that.
And you could create one extra lot. And is that horrible? Is that detrimental?
It's
Is
not
that-
even,
It's not even,
one other factor, Bill, that you're not mentioning is you're just talking about lot widths. They also have to have the lot square footage as well. So it's not just lot widths and it's not just lot square footage, it's both.
and we have many more 65-foot lots today. And so numerically, this is crazy. You ready? You'd have to accumulate 13 65-foot lots in a row, tear down all the buildings, and you could get one more lot. So that's why I'm just not concerned about any change in the real world. That this is a simplification. We vowed, our goal is to make this more understandable for residents, simpler. And man, there's a map of all the properties in the city that's not colored in with zoning districts. And you look at that, you cannot tell what would be R1B and what would be R1C. They are just jumbled. And so there's no rhyme or reason. So why not simplify? 3 meetings ago, this was a slam dunk. Everybody said, yeah, those two, yeah, let's combine those. So,
Slam dunk until we looked at the uses that are different in each district.
what did we find?
Circular.
But they are.
Rooming house.
What did we find?
Rooming house.
There you go.
We have a solution.
There's a proposal.
That I found.
So anyway, we just have to have people understand that these 2 dimensions only apply when creating a new lot in a heavily built out city already. There are no lots like this to happen. So it's not going to change the look of the town. It's not going to change anybody's property. Maybe somebody could create one more lot in Harbor Springs. That would be 2 people in a house. So I don't think that's bad. Tiff,
Yeah, Tiff Easterwood. One thing I think we're forgetting is part of changing RB one, B, and C is the setbacks. Both side, front and rear. It's not just that I understand we don't have a lot of land to make an extra lot. But we do have a problem where if you build lot lines without, and we've already changed the setbacks. I think we didn't go to 52, the straw man is 60 now. That's part of the issue. Not just creating lots out of nothing, but what are people to do if they come in, buy this lot and build to the lot line?
they can't do that.
Well, I mean, the setback,
Okay,
they can because we made them. I always get backwards. We either made them narrower or we made them better or worse. We
We made them
side yard.
8 feet.
We made a what?
8 feet.
8 feet,
And what they used to be?
They used to be.
12?
8 and 10.
Speak 10, it's 2 feet.
So they went down 2 feet. That is going down. That is, it accumulates. I think that's just the other side of the
And
equation.
when would it accumulate?
Well, if somebody added one and add on to their house, now their house is 2 feet closer to yours. It's only 2 feet. It's 2 feet. I'm just saying, why change it? It's back to that, why even give that little bit more? Why, we can't not combine B and C and not go back to the uses and dimensions, that they were all tied in. It's back to that. And one other thing I want to say is, I think where we got to with ADUs and duplexes was really good community working together. I thought it would be worse, so I just want to say that there's some good things that happened
Okay.
tonight. We're not.
Good. All right, planning commission, let's take stock of where we stand on this issue tonight. So, let's go around and see who's in favor of the approach that we've been working with, which is to combine R1, B, and C with the dimensions that are shown. Can you scroll up or down? Down, probably down.
I don't know what's going on with the TV. This is fine. It's that thing resetting.
Okay. Maybe
So
out
it'll
of
be back
power.
with us here shortly.
When do you want to decide dimensions for R1, B, and C?
Right now.
You do,
Yep.
okay?
I think you should listen to.
So, what we decided, I think we decided at the last meeting, was to combine those two. We'd have a 60-foot minimum lot width. We'd have a 68, 64 square foot minimum lot area. And hate to muddy things, but when I look at some figures, I'm thinking we ought to go back to the old code in terms of the minimum lot area, which would be 6,500 feet, as it is in the old code for the current,
In R1B or R1C?
both.
No, R1C was 65, R1B was 8,000.
8,000.
Yeah. All right, let's go around the table, see how we feel about that. Vanessa?
What are we asking?
We're asking if we're still good with combining R1, B, and C with essentially the dimensions you see there, other than I'm recommending now 6,500 square feet, which is in the existing zoning code in R1 C.
So Bill, you're going from 8,000 to 68 to 64 to now down to 65.
As per the current code. And that lets us pick up about 77 more properties to make them conforming. So that helps, has a secondary benefit, other than the understandability of the zoning map. All right, back to you, Vanessa. What do you think?
Let's hear what Kenny has to say.
I'm comfortable combining B and C as the default. And I think we have a good answer on uses. And Chip, I agree, you gotta hammer that home, make sure it's right, but I think we have a mechanism to deal with that. Dimensions, I'm going to abstain because I still need this stuff laid side by side. We're all correct here. Where the city was built to something different than what we're specifying. There are variations left and right of every number we pick. So therefore, any number will do, but on the other hand, the right number has to be made based on some rationale. And I don't want to be given one choice tonight, so I'll abstain.
So wait, you were in favor of something though,
Yeah, combining them.
conceptually combined.
Right, but you're asking me to decide on setbacks, coverage of lots, lot square footage, and I'm not yet comfortable to do that.
Okay. And we did that last meeting with the worksheet where we had a side-by-side columns. And that's how we got
All right,
this.
so I gotta go find those to make this.
Okay, let's go
right
down
now.
the table. Give you a pause. Yep. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking, you know, people tell me that we have too many districts because we're such a small town. I'm thinking that we're a pretty unique small town. I don't care how many districts we have at all.
Okay.
And so, you know, I don't see any benefit to change. It's a lightning bolt issue as well. And if it doesn't produce any additional properties, really, then why are we changing it at all? So, my vote is not changing.
Okay. Right.
I'm leaning towards combining B and C. I think the lot sizes are scattered between two, so why have two separate ones when neither are conforming?
What do you think?
Yeah, well, let me first say, I totally get why we have AR, why we have R1 estates, why we have our ROS, why we have all the other residential districts. They all make perfect sense to me. This one just simply does not make sense to me. Again, look at the zoning maps or the plot maps that we have here today. If you look at that, you're gonna see lots that should be R1C and R1B districts. And you're gonna see lots that should be R1B and R1C districts. And so when you talk about setbacks, the R1C districts or the R1C lots that are in R1B districts are burdened by having that incremental setback. I mean, there's just not a clean way to remedy this because there was never a clean way that the distribution of these houses was implemented in the first place. There was no logic behind how these houses were developed. And that's why we have the situation that we're in right now. So I think the logical thing to do would be to take a bunch of disparate homes that have about the same lot sizes, dimensionally and width, and combine them into a single district.
Barry?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I think a lot of people are struggling to visualize, you know, what this looks like, and it would be nice to maybe bring some facts later, but my vote would be to combine them because it just doesn't make sense to have my neighbor with different. Yeah, I agree.
Jeannie?
I agree with Kenny, and I'm visual, so I asked Jeff if we could just have a map that shows the non-conformities in it. I do, but to look at a map and to see the shaded properties that are
Yeah, I would say-
non-conforming.
Oh, shaded property, you're not.
And so I asked if I could see, but so I'm visual,
Okay.
and so it's really hard.
We had
grasp.
that. That was.
Yeah, well, we had vacant.
No, we had non-conforming. It had like a dot or a star on them or something.
I haven't seen it, so
Yeah.
I think that's my issue, is I'm visual.
Because I was shocked at how they were everywhere.
And I think my other concern, which doesn't necessarily have to do with this, but it does, is lot coverage. So when you look at maximum lot coverage for the main house, is there a maximum for the accessory building? How much green space are we taking up? Is that going to make sense with the setbacks? Will I be able to see what we're talking about by?
Well,
Well, everything comes into the maximum lot coverage, so
So it all
the-
does.
it all comes into play, any structure above ground.
So when I look at
Yes.
40%, that includes everything.
Yeah, the house, the porch, the garage, any structures that they're doing in residential neighborhoods. The only items that have not been included in lot coverage have been things that are flush with grade, like their driveway, any like brick on sand patio type of a thing would not be included in that, but everything else would have to be in that 40%.
So of all the, I mean, you can't answer this, but looking at all the houses, it isn't as if everybody can just do a AUD. It has to, if my house already is covering 40%, I can't do anything.
Correct. You would not be, if you already are at your maximum coverage, you would not be able to add another building,
So
or it's very.
between that and setbacks, there are parameters. It isn't just.
Oh, yeah, and then let's back up just 1 second. I mean, everything that we're talking about. There are rules and regulations in this section of the code or in other sections of the code that a property owner would have to abide by. And we spell those out. Even when we're talking about permitted or by right uses, there is still an administrative approval process where they would have to submit an application that would be reviewed before their proposed project would be able to be done. And they would have to comply with whatever rules and regulations we have in place. So when we're talking about these things, it's not just like people just get to do whatever they want and there's no oversight. There is oversight. And that's more than what you asked, but that kind of came up earlier and I just wanted to make sure we talked about
Okay.
Okay, so Jean, could you restate where you stand on this?
I think I have to let it all settle and I'm visual, so I'd like to see. I'm with Kenny. I don't know that I can answer anything.
I'm gonna
right
go
now.
back to Kenny. Kenny, where do you stand?
So I think what you're asking is you want us to lock in what we worked through and penciled last time. With the change that the minimum lot area on that page be reduced to 6,500 square feet, which is the same as the minimum lot of R1B. C. All right, thank you. So tonight is the first night to say, this is it, right? As opposed to all these pencils.
Yeah, let's get, poor John does need some direction from us, so.
This is our draft here.
It
At
is.
least it was until the change to 65. So do I approve that as our draft going forward? Absolutely. Okay, we worked through that the other week, but it just seems strange about, okay, this is it. I didn't know.
Well,
we were
no.
gonna do a vote.
We're gonna see this 2 or 3 more times as a package.
Okay,
So, and then we're gonna vote one time.
okay, so what do we all want in the draft?
Yes, what do you want?
Okay, all right, that's easy. Do what we did when we discussed this the last time and put it in the draft so we can all take a look at it.
Right.
That includes combining.
That includes combining it, but keeping it at 6,864.
My preference was still see the data. You can combine them, I want that, but still see the data on what did somebody lose or gain. In reality, nobody lost or gained anything because we know the reality is scattered all over the place. But what are we deciding and why is the rationale? I think we need to figure that one out.
In terms of what?
Is it 6,500 square feet or 68?
Okay.
And those kinds of differences, we're forcing a distilling down from 2 to 1, which I'm in favor of. But somebody's gonna say, why'd you choose that number?
Great, okay.
Yeah. Throw along, sure.
Right, Bill, so Vanessa, let me come back to you. I'm not sure.
So I agree that we should combine them. There are a lot of people in R1B that live right across the street from R1C. And so probably a majority of these folks, we all live across the street from it. So to have them have different rules, even if they have different lot lines and setbacks, it's still going to affect us. So I think that they should all be combined. As
Do you go with those numbers?
you know, the 6,500 was just a shock to me. That's all. I didn't know. But you're coming to us and you're saying, oh, well, it's, you know, 70 more, you know, it brings in 70 more non-conformity. And so it's just little like fun facts like that that would help us.
Great, okay. So what I've heard is that we're generally in favor of combining it. There's still a question, Jeannie would like to see visual data. You would like to see, you probably have to see that too, but you'd like to see the analysis of perhaps how many more get conforming. or
Yes,
whatever.
if we're gonna make that step down to 6,500, I want to know why.
Okay, so
Could you have a Zoom hand there? Could we just hear from Lene? Please.
yeah, Lene,
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate this discussion on the combination, and I just want to follow that thread that Jeannie had about the visual and seeing, you know, the map that depicts the non-conforming lots by lot area, and then the map that shows the non-conforming by lot width. And then it would be great to see the boundaries of these plats that are referenced in the pre-existing lots paragraph in the non-conforming section, because I think that language exempts the lots in those plats because they are likely smaller or narrower than the district that they're in. So I think that would be important analysis for folks.
okay, what I'm taking away is that we are in general agreement to combine the two districts. People still would like more info regarding the minimum lot area. So let's leave it penciled in at 68, 64 right now. And we'll come back and I'll take another look at it. Yeah, no, it's great. All right, thanks, everybody. That
And
should
Bill,
help.
at this point, we can get data on how many lots this is gonna affect and how many more potential builds there could be from that.
That data is included in the packet. There's John Icoangeli's letter where he specifies and provides numbers of properties that are non-conforming. By making changes, how many we could make.
Based on lot area.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, that doesn't reflect lot width though.
It does not reflect all that. That is acres.
Is it safe to assume that if you included lot width, you'd probably have even more non-conforming?
Potentially, yes. The difficulty though is we're at the stage where our next phase that staff needs to go into is preparing the drafts that we're gonna bring back to you to say, here's what you guys decided. And if you're, you know, so that's why we kind of proposed, or John mentioned, we need to wrap up this R1C, R1D discussion and move forward. If you're asking us to go back and create new maps that don't exist, that is going to delay the process.
That wasn't what I was going for. I just wanted to make sure Barry understood that the non-conforming analysis that John did is exclusively based on square lot size, not based on lot width.
Okay, well, we'll bring it back with the best new info that we can, revisit John's thing. And I think we have a working agreement. And then we have to talk about building height. You've been writing some stuff that we said, right now, our zoning code allows various heights. Does it make sense to make Harbor Springs a 35-foot high town? What's that about? Because every district has 35 feet today, right? Every house, every residential district. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm not sure if I accept that or not, but the point being is that about 2 meetings ago, the current code has the height of the downtown buildings at around 30. And you all moved it to 35, so that's where I got that statement. And then 42 with the accoutrements on the top.
Okay, I think we have a major misunderstanding. So, and this almost made it into the newspaper. I mean, you almost said that we agreed to a 42-foot tall building.
No.
Oh, yes.
No, it's 7, no, well.
The discussion also appeared to collectively decide that throughout the city, the top of an elevator shaft on a building could be 42 feet.
Right, which is just 7 feet lower than the Mossberg building.
So let's clarify, what we decided the last meeting is
Okay.
the top of a building could be 35 feet.
Right,
And that would include a railing, that would include.
but I don't think it,
But we also said you could have HVAC equipment
right,
up to 42 in.
inches, okay.
So I'm afraid you confused inches.
Then I'll change whatever we need to. Yeah, that's a big mistake. 42 inches, that's what, 30, just a little over 3 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this almost went in the paper. So glad that it didn't. You know, city council could have read this, city council members that aren't tracking this thing day to day,
Yep.
especially our mayor. You know, he could have been running around saying, they approved 42 feet, those bastards.
It's all penciled in and so nothing has been decided. I mean, these are discussions.
Okay, but we have never settled on 42 feet
42
tall,
feet.
so we've gotta be accurate, you guys.
You guys were coming out with 40 feet, that was on the table. You came out with it, I mean, John was pushing for it
But
with
Jeff,
regard to
what was
the.
decided? What was decided?
It was the confusion of it all, Bill.
I,
But I
Can you
heard
flip
was
to the-
60-60,
flip to the CBD.
1-1.
So there's. Thank you, Mark, you're supporting what I'm saying.
That's what I heard.
I agree with you.
Okay, all right, so the point is, we decided 35 feet plus 42 inches.
Great.
All that matters is what we decided, unless you want to criticize what we talked about as an idea.
I'm not criticizing, I just wanna let you know where it comes from. The initial, coming into the meeting, there was all sorts of discussion on height, size,
There was.
okay,
Coming out of the
But
meeting,
came
we decided 35.
Yeah,
great.
I think with some of this
Good.
communication also, you know, since we're working together, maybe we can have some thoughts if anything is gonna be published and things like that, just to make sure all the facts are straight. You know, we don't want false information going to you and vice versa, so maybe we could work together to kind of.
Okay.
And then Karen, you said here at the meeting, chairman publicly stated a proposal to eliminate the AR district and reclassify it as residential neighborhood. In which district was the alternative?
I'm sorry.
Which residential district was the alternative that I suggested?
No, that you would make it, you would take out the ag and make it
But what residential?
residential.
R1A with the same measurements as they are.
Right.
And so then in here you said, I mean, you implied that I was trying to work a deal to increase
No, no,
density.
No,
That is not correct, Karen. You've got to be
It-
accurate. You're
you-
stirring up the community. You are getting the wrong information. We're not working together here. Can you
Okay.
please correct these two things?
yes,
Great. And then 35 feet, I just want to make sure you know, 35 is not a requirement. Every building does not have to be 35 feet.
it's the maximum.
It's the max. So how could, I know some of the stuff you've written just is going to mislead people and it doesn't make sense. So we've been working great together. Let's keep it up and let's not try to stir people up and incite them and scare them. Okay, thank you.
So a nice phone call too would help. You know, you can call me anytime and I'll call you. Or, you know it.
Yeah, okay. Maureen,
AR go on the map.
no,
nope,
we kept AR,
kept AR,
same dimensions, same.
That's what I'm saying. What people rejected is AR going to residential.
Correct.
That's part of this discussion. It's not like you didn't want to turn that into residential. You wanted AR to go, not you, but the consensus was from AR to go away to residential.
No.
No.
We kept AR
AR.
with exactly the same dimensions.
And the last meeting did not say, let's get rid of AR.
I told you what I learned about the Michigan Right to Farm Act and how that led me to believe that we didn't need a separate district. That was a discussion item. It's up to me to share what I learned with the planning commission.
I think all the
So let's
arguments
not
that is,
criticize
you
that.
brought up to get rid of AR. You brought.
I absolutely brought that up as an idea, Jeff.
That was the beginning of
Yeah.
this. So that is not inaccurate.
That's correct, but
That's all I'm saying is that it's
well,
not inaccurate.
you're not saying enough.
But you
Because
didn't
it's
change.
not correct. And it leads people down the wrong track to think that I was trying to moved that into a smaller district. That is not true. We moved it. And by the way, the unanimous consensus was to keep the AR district. So that's what matters. Maureen Kenny, you asked 3 good questions at the end of the last meeting. I'm so sorry. Things were breaking up. People were tired. Do you recall what those 3 were? I think I do. One was, will our fire equipment handle a 35-foot building?
A 50-foot building, do we have a ladder? A 50-foot building, we have 50-foot buildings, yes, that was correct. Is our ladder truck?
Yes, so let me read the text from the chief. He says, yes, our ladder is actually 108 feet tall. So technically, we are sufficient to work up to 60 feet when they have to be away from the collapse zone. So the truck will be out here. Anyway, so they can handle up to 60 feet. So that was good news. Second thing you asked was, besides the sewer.
Safety and
Is,
security,
you know,
has Kyle been brought into?
Yeah,
all
will we need
potential
more
changes?
police for all the extra people? So could you tell us how you calculate the extra people or how you believe extra people will be involved here?
Well, then we can go back to your density study that you
Yeah.
presented in March. I don't have the details on that, but we're going to have some additional people moving into additional housing. Is that 5 people? I don't know.
But
Is
is
that
that-
100 people? I don't know. I'm just saying it is very important for safety of this city that our police chief knows the details of what's going on here and what the projections are.
Okay.
I don't have those numbers in my head. They were in your density study.
So just to refresh, we have enough vacant residential property to have our residents theoretically build about 110 homes, more than we have today. And that has nothing to do with the zoning code at all. That's today is just land and it's based on our existing density. So people today, if we just opened up shop, walked away, they could still build theoretically up to 110 homes. So that's it.
So 4 people per house, that's 440 people.
1.9 people. Yeah,
It
so
doesn't matter, but I
200
just wanted to
people.
make sure that our chief is informed
Right.
and can help us make sure our city continues to be safe.
Yep, I'm with you on that 100%. I thought you had projections about how many more people would come from some zoning changes that were being considered. I don't think there's any. In fact, I think it's gonna go the other way. Still gonna go the other way, so. All right, thank you. Thank you for that.
I'm gonna hand out on my sewer stuff, once you adjourn, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Sewer study from test because I think you would find it very interesting.
Excellent.
But
Okay, we're about to wrap up.
So I think it's a question that should have come up a long time ago and I didn't, so maybe I should ask it next week, but it's about uses. We went really fast by something and I didn't know what we decided, and I didn't know what the difference between the 2 were. You brought up PUDs, the planned unit developments.
Oh, yeah.
That were in 1E. And then we sort of moved on without saying anything about that. And then we also talked about cluster housing. And I don't know what the difference between the 2 are. We've spent a long time talking about PUDs, but I didn't hear cluster housing until I went back to the code. And I remember reading that.
Yeah.
I don't know actually what the difference between the 2 is, so I know it's way too late probably to talk about it tonight. But.
You're right. That was in one of the earlier articles that we finalized this year.
The PUDs, yes. I was
In
around,
the
but cluster housing.
cluster housing was too. So, okay.
Bill, can I say something?
Yes.
I agree. I think we made a lot of progress on the duplexes and ADUs. And the ADUs, but my question I posed earlier in the week was, you know, we're making these changes to reduce the number of non-conforming properties. And my question is,
Okay.
Do we really have a problem? And, you know, how many people actually go to the ZBA and ask for a variance? And how many times do we deny the variance? And I think the number is less than 10 a year. And so my point is, make a lot of changes. We're making, you know, based on our need to reduce the number of non-conforming properties. I'm not sure we have a problem with non-conforming properties.
Okay.
Thank you.
I've been thinking a lot about that too. So I'm thinking that would be a secondary benefit. I'm not thinking that's what it's not the primary reason to go.
Okay, good, because I don't get it either.
Yeah, so let's examine that more next time.
Okay.
All right, any older new business?
I'd like to
Oh.
chip in. Chip, you did contact me about that to get some information, and I know we had the report about the number of non-conforming properties, but we didn't include details about variance requests. The planning or the ZBA meets throughout the year. We average very few. Some years we've had as little as one. The most since I've been here that we've ever had is 5 variance requests in a year. Most of them are granted. But again, we have very few requests. I think that really is relating to people understand, here's a situation where a variance is warranted versus not. I think that really leans in the opposite direction of, I think what you're insinuating is that if we had more variance requests, it would show that there's an issue. I think that the severe few that we do have shows that people are capable of building on their property without the need for a variance. Therefore, why not make that property conforming?
All right, let's sleep on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I found the logic on that.
All right, thank you everybody so much.